I said, roll up. Hey, I said that nigga ATF just showed up. Hey, I say the truth will never fold up. Hey, 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 hey. I said, roll up. Hey, I said that nigga ATF just showed up. Hey, I say the truth will never fold up. Hey, hey, hey. The business is, I said what the business is, what's cracking. I said what's happening. Hey, I said hold up. Hey, I said that nigga ATF just showed up. Hey, I say the truth will never fold up. Hey, 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 hey. What the business is? I said, what the business is? Was cracking. I said my nigga was bracking. Hey. What's up, man? What's going on?
How you? You ready for them Bears, baby?
All right.
Huh? I just was here talking.
Yeah. Oh
Giving
yeah.
y'all niggas all the energy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You already know.
Don't use no pen. Here, just be ready. Just be ready. Just be ready.
Give me some hot cocoa. Let me get a little bit of that cocoa. That's
Dog, good. Marry her. Don't even try it. That's who you marry. No. Tyra was saying that. Amber was like, nah, don't even try it. I was going.
what's the difference between these cups and these cups?
Which ones?
These.
That one was a little more expensive.
This one more expensive?
Yeah.
Why? This a reusable cup?
Mm-hmm. If I can stop them bitches. You need all these bitches. Damn.
You know them niggas be coming in here. How much is this
I'm
cup?
about to ban them. Them crackheads be taking like 5 of them.
That.
I'm about to charge you 5 times. I usually do. I'm just not up there. Biggest, shit. How much was that, we just did it. It's supposed to come with,
Oh, with a muffin and shit?
yeah.
It's like $2 and something?
Yeah.
What
But
is
they're
that?
not giving us the promotion. He just charged somebody regular price and it was
For real?
low-key. Yeah.
Yeah, cause I seen the little shit with Dak Prescott up here and shit.
Yeah,
it's like yeah.
That one too, so. How much was the regular, the white coffee, yo? You remember?
Nah, I don't remember how much that was.
I think it was like $2.15 or something like that.
So what I get a muffin too, right?
Yeah.
Or any
With the purchase of
wait a minute.
2 bakery case items.
Oh, so I
So
get
you
a
gotta
free
get two.
coffee.
If you get 2 items.
I get 2 of them now.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Nah, nigga, them niggas trying to get old. Them niggas trying to get old. I guess I would get 2 cheap ass motherfucking glazed donuts.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what I'm about to say. Now your coffee free. Glaze ain't nothing but $1, so it's $2, and then the coffee, instead of you adding that'd usually be $4 or $5.
Yeah, that shit. That sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah. That's the old buddy I was trying to tell him he won't listen. I'm like, you gotta read, bro. It's not free.
Right.
You just getting coffee.
That's it.
Check this out, Muffin Man. That's what I said. You coming with that phone? Look here, man.
That nigga said, that nigga called him the Muffin Man.
One more hostile act I'm about to beg. Just one more. I don't give a fuck if something drop on the floor as you get. I don't care if you slam one of the doors. I don't care what you do. You got one more incident tonight, though. Now, tomorrow we can reset. You know, I give people a break. I ain't like your man. Everybody bang. You bang. You bang. You bang. What you gonna take away the money, nigga? You keep doing that, we ain't got no hours, nigga. You will be bang. Stupid ass nigga.
Straight up. What up, Nikki C? Oh, shit.
Man, the money?
Damn. I done dropped this shit in here. Ain't no trash. Ain't no trash.
That's what I want y'all to do, because I got to find the clean. I'm taking them over there.
Nah,
Clean that motherfucker. Here comes the James. Gotta watch it.
what up, Nikki C? What up, Darius? You talking about get you a pack of squares, nigga. You give me a pack of squares, nigga.
I wasn't paying attention.
Nigga, you the one with all the money and shit. Nigga, you got all the bread, nigga. Let me get a pack of squares.
Pack of what?
My nigga gonna hit me on here talking about some, give me a pack of cigarettes.
What, you lying?
Yeah, I'm on live. I'm at, on YouTube.
Oh shit, I gotta act a fool. Hold on.
Yeah.
No. Let me tell you something. You come to this 7-Eleven, you get nothing. The bathroom locked. Ain't no motherfucking pizza. Stop asking questions. I don't know the price if you can't read. Matter of fact, don't even motherfucking come here. I ain't gonna give you up the address, but don't come here though. We like to got the store closed at certain hours. Ain't no pizza, ain't no goddamn wings. Fuck y'all niggas is doing? Going grocery shopping in here with them kids. Them babies need to eat in the morning. So if you ain't getting no cereal, no milk, I'm not letting you spend your EBT wrong. Wake up, niggas. I like the live. I like the live. Huh? You ain't talking to me.
Oh shit, that thing crazy.
You remember that interview? Watch. I see how you do. Nah, she like it's brand new. That's what it is.
You already know where I'm at,
She gonna act new. Okay. I was there for business. There was something important going on. What would you do for Israeli call? Let's go on President call.
Yeah. Hell yeah, nigga. You already know. You already know where I'm at. Shit. Oh damn, shit. These guys need these.
Oh yeah.
I ain't fucking with you. Yeah, they do.
She one of them motherfuckers for sure.
She said,
When you see him, oh, that's my favorite nephew. So she tell you that piece of shit ass nigga. You always over there beating up on that damn girl. I started to call the cops, but I love him to death though. Look, drama starting.
for real.
Get your motherfucker. Know everything in the neighborhood. Look, police always in the neighborhood.
But you ain't heard that from me though.
But you heard look at ass.
Oh shit.
That baby, you ain't heard that from me. That's her name. That's her whole name. Yes, ma'am. You too. Yeah, that's the whole name. What's her name? That's you ain't heard that from me though.
Yeah, like Miss Jenkins, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly.
No, the lady was Miss Jenkins. No, you been not saying about this Miss Jenkins.
Oh yeah.
I give her that. She ran away, sister.
That's why you call me Jenkins. I thought that was her real name, Miss Jenkins. Don't you nobody say I'm nothing about no Miss Jenkins.
Oh over there pussy for you, cooking up all the shit that smells like a bag of shit. Nobody else better not say nothing about it. Yeah.
You tell everybody business.
Everybody business. Yeah. That nigga, she's in the street nigga on that thing hard.
Look, we should call TMZ out this motherfucker. Like, look, this how David do this. And there's so many of them, they probably believe it. Like,
For real.
80, 85 wins. 84th, baby.
It be like, nigga, I need that money though.
Bro, I need to know who the fuck their mama is though. Like, they ain't never said it was like,
No birth control.
For real.
No birth control.
Exactly.
13 though. 13 though, back to that.
Getting a back blew out.
I get you right there. Then they done all had kids.
Yeah.
Then them kids that had kids.
Hell yeah. Nigga, that's the house of the 100, nigga. You don't want to fuck with
The
them.
Jacksons had 13.
Oh yeah,
though?
nah, you gotta give me just ring up my what's name?
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
We just was talking about trading rights.
Or you can just do that and just give me the
And
donuts
just
free. It don't even
All right,
matter
that one.
whichever one you want to do.
Now it count. It's going up now?
215.
Exactly. Because he got, yeah, that's how you do that. Your old boy had me wrong.
Let me get
Hell, he was trying to do
pack a Newport short.
Yeah, I like to trade the Jackson family and their rights in for the Partridge family.
Right.
They more, the Osmonds. They
Hell
more,
no.
They more hood than.
You tripping. They ain't nowhere near as talented as the Jacksons, nigga.
I'm
keeping
talking
the
about
talent.
black rights.
I don't
and
give
just
a
black
I'm
period. I
keeping
ain't
the
talking about
talent.
talent.
I'm keeping the talent for the
Nigga,
black people.
It was only Michael and Janet out of 50 people.
Man, you Jermaine.
Jermaine, what?
Hey, let's get serious. He had that one little hit. He had that one little hit.
Jermaine is most famous for this. How crazy these niggas is. Him and Tito. They've been beefing all their life.
Jermaine and Tito don't fuck with each other?
Hell no.
I didn't know that.
Tito messed with the chick from overseas, little Princess Leia looking bitch. He divorced her. What you think Jermaine do? He go grab the bitch up and get her pregnant too.
Swear.
So now they sons
Are
is cousin brothers. I'm like, yeah, they the weirdest family I ever met in my life, bro. So I like to trade the rights. This is black rights,
Right.
Like NFL draft.
Yeah, we're doing a draft. We're doing
Yeah, I like to trade the whole Jackson family in. Huh?
I honestly think they was molested.
They
Nah,
were
he didn't molest them. He just whooped their ass.
Nah, he was pimping them niggas out to the industry.
Yeah, he just did shit like that. He
was pimping.
he that type of black that he don't play that touching.
He was like,
Now
shit.
Michael Jordan, daddy, yeah, he raped his sister.
Nah, Barry Gordy probably had
all of them
little Michael in that motherfucker.
People doing weird shit.
Pop blocking the thumbs.
People
Look
doing
at that
weird
damn
shit.
boy. Look at his ass cheeks. Look at it. I got a new single for him on Loose Booty Records. We gonna sign on Loose Booty Records. Yeah. Get a little nigga a tampon for his butt. You know he can't sit on that fighting friend in the chat. Everybody in there laughing, sipping wine and shit.
R. Kelly and his brother, huh?
Yeah. They gay. Them niggas
Now,
gay.
this sister, well, I don't know.
They homos, man.
But they sister was molesting them and shit.
Yeah, no wonder he's
They
so.
older sister.
I don't even listen to the boy no more. He from the shop. I don't give a fuck where he from. Nigga's sick. He's a sexual deviant.
He's fucked
He had
up
a
in the
sex
head.
mansion.
He fucked up in the head.
He go get niggas to go get the bras,
What's this
young
one?
girls
You
from
got
the mall.
some
Gas.
Yeah,
Yeah, put the rest on.
I'm on Trace.
Yeah,
3.
Yeah, I'm on 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just bring that up and just give him the rest. Yeah, he always. You ain't never ring
10:03.
You know I just give them all.
Nah, not 10-3.
Yeah.
Rest
I
on
already paid all.
Oh, okay,
I already
okay.
paid for it.
Let me shut on up then. Anyway, yeah, I like to trade the whole Jackson family in for the rights to the Osmonds.
Nah, I can't fuck with that.
Donnie
They
Marie?
weird too. Donnie and Marie fucking each other too, dog.
But we ain't never hear that though.
I did. I don't
Who told you, Miss Jenkins' mama?
I think all the people be having them weird ass rumors about them.
Is you ain't hear that from me though, looking ass, and it's I ain't gonna say it again, looking ass, and what's the third one? That's what I heard.
That's what I heard.
That's what I heard.
If them shits ain't got facts behind it, you ain't hear shit.
For real.
That's what I heard. Well, you gotta put a sauce behind it. See, Whitney Williams gonna drop dimes.
Oh yeah, she's dropping this nigga.
Well, Puffy told me. Yeah.
All right, bro.
Doing that shit early.
Oh yeah, you already know what time it is. What up, y'all? What it do? Y'all see just fucking acting a fool with these niggas.
outside we're done, you willing to let us take trash out your car or anything? We're trying to make the last 18 bucks to get us to a hotel.
I just put my last little 10 in here so I can do these papers, dog.
Completely understand, man.
All right, man, you be easy, okay? Nigga, it's cold outside. Who all up in there? Who all up in here still? Y'all niggas in the bushes and shit? Nobody even said nothing. Who off in the bushes? Come on up out of them bushes. Oh, I done shook somebody out there, motherfucker. They was like, I'm gone. These niggas clowning. Whew. Motherfucking hands cold. God damn. Shit. Lord.
Oh, man. He looks like he's somebody whoop their ass.
What's good, y'all? Shit. I ain't doing a whole lot of talking. I'm out here trying to get the fuck out this wind.
These dumbasses set off a fucking fireworks inside the house.
Oh,
It was a school play.
I seen this lady.
Oh, I guess they accidentally bought outside fireworks for the inside school play. And their motherfuckers started going on. The whole room's clouded with smoke and shit.
Hell no. Alright, bro, you be easy. Shit. Damn, it's cold. What up, Black Indian? I already know. Shit. Man. I'm trying to motherfucking get it popping now. Man, it's just now. Got this little coffee right, chills. Shit. I'm getting situated real quick, y'all. Get my little situation together real quick. Boom, boom. There we go. There it is. Black Indian, my brother. Alito family. What's going on? And Nicky C that bounced up out of here. Darius, your ass still up in here. Nigga, you know I'm broke, nigga. What you talking about? Nigga, I'm Brizzo. Nigga, Brizzo, then Jizzo. What are you talking about, brother? Hell, I just got them 2 donuts and shit, nigga, so to make my coffee free. I'm pretty sure my daughter gonna smash that shit when I get to the house. I don't know, but I got blueberry donuts, so I don't know how they gonna do. They might not even want them. If they don't want them, I'ma eat them. You know, you heard me? Shit, swag. Hell yeah, man. Ooh, that shit hot. I'm gonna burn my damn mouth. Mm, 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 mm. Goddamn MPs up here just chilling at the shop and shit. They just up here chilling and shit. You know what I'm saying? They up here just congregating and chilling and dying. I think, yeah, I got him. Hey, Gucci. Wait, Gucci. Wait, Gucci. Oh, nigga, you at the crib? No, you at the crib, nigga. Nigga, your ass should stay all the way down there, nigga. Nigga, when you move, nigga, you just move all the way out and shit. This nigga done moved all the way out there. Shit. Nigga damn near live and goddamn let passes. Nah, I don't live as far as your ass do, though. Your ass. Ah, your ass damn near in them passes, nigga. You done moved past Cove and everything, nigga. I know it was raining like a motherfucker though. I know that. Oh shit. Why you bullshitting? That's what what's the name said she wanted to move to. I was like, I don't know about moving all the way out there. That's a little bit, that's far. I mean, it ain't too far. But it ain't in the city. I said I wanted to come back there where you was at. I'll go a little bit further back. nigga, your sister ever sell that damn house? She ain't never even call y'all. Ain't even never even saying nothing. She ain't never even said nothing. I was trying to get that motherfucker. You said it's a 4-bedroom, huh? I was trying to get that. I'm trying to get that motherfucker. Oh shit. See? See how y'all doing, nigga? Y'all doing, nigga. Acting like y'all ain't never even know a nigga. Excuse me. But you said you went through DL Hughley or whatever, Hughley, to get your house? Might need to call them niggas. See what's. Oh, I'm back. DR Horton. Okay. I said Hughley and shit. That's a comedian, ain't it? Hell no. Nigga, my damn alarm went off. You know my damn night alarm. They say tonight's supposed to drop down a little bit more in the threes. Shit. Man, I ain't trying to find out, nigga. I'm trying to be at the Chris naive. Damn, my nigga, you can't drive no slower than that. What the buzz? Nigga, what the buzz? Hell yeah, man. It's popping. It's on and popping. It's the new year, nigga. It's on and popping, nigga. We about to get this thing crunk up. Matter of fact, I gotta do some shit real quick. I think my phone now full. Yeah, it's fully charged up. Let's do this. I'm tripping. We gonna do some shit like this. I want to. No, nigga, I don't want to go to damn Google. I'm at the shop at. I'm at the shop at Off Post. I want to go to. What page do I want to go to? Oh my man. Corey Mayo. Shout out to Corey Mayo. Watch this one. Let me see. do this. Let's do this. Let's go to part 1. It's gotta rain. What is it? The first one?
Shalom, Shabbatah. So glad to be back with you and with another video. Some of that pure water.
It's my boy.
You know, this video
It's my boy
so
Corey
much
Mayo.
over the last couple of months, but I knew I had to be patient. You know, carefully research and gather this info, which I will be presenting to you. It's been a great journey so far. Dawadah,
Let's get into this.
I've had to deal with my share of static, of course,
up.
and the trolling, the harassment, but it has only made me more eager to prove what I'm presenting and saying. So,
There you
with
go,
that
right
said,
here,
thanks
look.
to all the haters, thanks to all the static. I know what was coming, but mainly, Hawa knew what he had in store for me. And he
Corey
has prepared
Mayo.
me throughout my life for this. So before I begin, let me just make something very clear. Now, this video has nothing to do with Africans or the Asian, Mongolian descendants
Yeah, I
that are
see
called
it.
Native Americans. We ain't gonna have no hijacking in this video. So I'm truly grateful and privileged to bring this to you. I truly feel that. So to the Shabbatah, to the viewers, my followers and subscribers, I just want to say very humbly, thank you from deep down in my heart. Thank you for the constant support and the kind words. Most of them really good. Appreciate all the comments everybody's left. You know, much blessings, much love, much love to all of you for supporting or watching. I hope these videos have been useful for you personally.
I'm trying to get.
Like they have in mind, knowledge that we're receiving, right, from the Most High. Oh wow. So, do you know who you are now? Do you remember? Hope my videos have helped somewhat, you know, make that clear. But if not, I really wanted to make something special and have something solid.
Hold on, let me see something.
The copper-colored tribes of America, the Aborigines.
I'm trying to
And as
see.
well for the hijacks, of course, the liars, the blind, and the ego-driven individuals who just refuse to accept.
I'm trying to get it where y'all can
willful
see it.
ignorance of the foundation of truth.
I don't think y'all gonna be able to.
Said, let's begin. Hawa. Hawa.
I don't think y'all.
However, much America strays away from the ideals of justice.
Let's get it.
The goal of America is freedom. Abused and scorned though we may be, our destiny is tied up in the destiny of America. Before the Pilgrim Fathers landed at Plymouth, we were here. Before Jefferson etched across the pages of history the majestic words of the Declaration of Independence, we were here. Before the beautiful words of the Star-Spangled Banner were written, we were here. For more than 2 centuries, our forebears labored here without wages. They made cotton king. They built the homes of their masters in the midst of the most humiliating and oppressive conditions, yet out of a bottomless vitality.
So you just heard Dr. Martin Luther King tell you that before the Pilgrim's father landed here, you were here.
Our forefathers weren't the pilgrims. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock was landed on us.
Now, what did he mean by this? What exactly did he mean by saying you were here? This was towards the end of his speech that day. And he slipped it right in there, you know, to the people that were listening to him that day. So it's either 2 things, right? Well, this only could be one thing. But basically, the people who are still kind of brainwashed, only one thing they could assume is that he's talking about maybe Africans, slaves that had come over, that were already there. And we're talking about 1620, right? When the Pilgrims arrived in 1620, he's saying, you were there. You were already there before 1620. You know, they say the first Negroes that arrived, or African slaves that arrived in America, so-called African slaves, was in 1619 in Virginia. Alright, so is he talking about that, or is he talking about the Aboriginals, copper-colored Aboriginals, so-called Negroes that were living in New England? And we're going to talk about those first Africans from 1619, so-called Africans. I'm going to show you where they really came from, where they really were, a little bit later. So, now in New England, this is what the Pilgrims encountered. Now, as you can see from this image, these are clearly so-called Negroes, you know, in this drawing from 1600s by the book of John Ogilvy, right? And a lot of people know who this is. And you can Google that, his name, John Ogilvy, and look at the images that he draws of the American Indians, and you'll see they're all copper-colored tribes. Now it says here, New Netherlanders apparel. Modern New England, Delmarva Peninsula, Cape Cod, New York, Jersey, Delaware, Connecticut, with small outposts in Pennsylvania and Rhode Island. From the book by John Ogilvy, 1600 to 1676, issued in 1671. And take a look at their clothes. Look at this, you know, look at their clothes. They don't look half naked. You know, well, you're looking at the one in the back. She's just being free. She's probably comfortable like that. I'm sure she wears clothes sometimes on the top. But you can see the male, how he's dressed, right? Looks more like Roman, right? Or Spartan, Greek than how they depict savage Native Americans, right? This right here is Chief Rain in the Face. He's a Wampanoag chief. Can't specify the year where I got the image, but he's from the Wampanoag tribe in Massachusetts. And this is Dorcas Honorable. It says the last known Native American woman on Nantucket, who died in 1855. This is from the Nantucket Historical Association. And Nantucket is an island really close to Plymouth. Let me show you right here. As you can see, where Plymouth is, in Nantucket, right below, right? And these are natives from the Narragansett and Wampanoag families. They got together to take this picture here, and they're part of the Algonquin-speaking tribes. And they're all over New England, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Long Island, New York, Connecticut. Wampanoag, as you can see, copper-colored, right? This is what the Pilgrims were encountering. And this is Saria G. Mitchell, a Wampanoag Native American. As you can see, who does she resemble? And let's read right here. It says, Figure 17, interior view of the Mitchell home at Becky's Neck, circa 1893. Seated on the left is Servia. On the far right is Melinda Tiwilima. That's another known native from that area. And immediately behind her name, Sanuski. In the lower right hand corner, there's a partial image of a seated man. This could be their brother Alonso. On the table behind Charlotte is a group of brass baskets that they were working on. And the photographer L.B. Shaw, landscape photographer Elmwoods, right? And this is another picture of them, the same three, in their home side. So as you can see, copper colored, right? This is Emma Mitchell, another Wampanoag Native American from Massachusetts. So, in reference to the Shinnecock tribe, right? Just wanted to show you something. I know you guys know a lot about, rap and, you know who Old Dirty Bastard is, right? So, in reference to the Shinnecock tribe, as you see here, now here's a list of
the drugs, the crime, the poverty. These were tough neighborhoods, but there were also places where his family had been for countless generations. In fact, Dirty could trace his lineage back to a time when there was no New York City, just the wilderness of North America. He was 1/4 Shinnecock Indian.
Then he started mentioning things that I didn't understand. He said he got his grandfather Cuffy, Chief Cuffy. Let me take you to Chief Cuffy. Him and his brothers, Fred Cuffy and that, they were some wild boys back then.
My great-grandfather was an Indian chief. Shinnecock, from the Shinnecock Reservation in Long Island, Riverhead. So that's where my mother met my father in Long Island. Dirty just carried his heritage to the limit. You know, we're Indians. I said, and then he would say, yeah, the Indians, we sold Manhattan. I said, well, listen, they sold Manhattan for trinkets. So he always said, well, we're going to try to get it back. I said, Rusty, please. We're not getting it back, so forget it.
So you heard it, you know, old dirty bastard, you know, his mom, Shinnecock, his grandfather. Alright? He even sang it in the rap song you just heard there. Alright, so you can see there's a lot of history here in New England with colored tribes. You know?
I'm talking about Chief Cuffy. That's my mother's father. Now I'm talking about my grandmother, her father. That's Reverend Milton. Now Reverend Milton had a church, started the first Baptist church.
He died at 103. Was never seen now. Always what he's talking about. But he was back in slavery time. Back in slavery time. And to hear him speak of what happened, it was, I just couldn't believe it. But he was free, and he came up to New York to find a place for my grandmother.
This was his area when he came up from the south, all up down here. Right about here. This is where my grandfather's house was, right here. This is Bridge Street. And this is where his house was living at in the 1900s. So I got two historic legacies in my family, on my grandmother's side and on my grandfather's side. So imagine these two people get together and have children. That's where we come from. That's where Dirty come from. That's where Ray Ray come from. That's where 12 come from. Shitty, Murray, all the down the line.
He was the first one that I ever heard, you know, go on the TV, national television, and say that the black man is God. You know, and that right there was on the Arsenio Hall show.
The government brainwash our people with the mind control theory. That's what they do. So to make sure our people like it, they keep playing that same song. The same song keep playing, you start to like it, you start to get probed with it, you start to get cloned with it. So then for the clone exists, then it just takes over. It takes over the human body, it takes over the spirit, it takes over the soul. And therefore, behold, that's what you got. That's why Dirty is here. Dirty here just to keep it dirty. Dirty, 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 where we all come from. I'm not crazy at all, okay? Everybody knows saying that Dirty is crazy. Dirty is not crazy at all. Dirty just foresee a lot that a lot of people don't foresee.
He fell off the stage in the concert. And he went to the studio and he asked somebody for a painkiller. And that's what did it. They gave him the painkiller. And he never woke up. Never woke up.
I only drink this water, that's the only thing. Really? Yeah. Because you had a drinking problem for a while or something? Well, it really just, the Indians don't want to get too involved with the fire water and, you know. Are you an Indian? Yes. Oh, really? Oh, I thought you were a black guy. Hey, you're Indian? Yeah. Oh, come on, man. Yeah. What Indian are you? Like Tonto Indian? Sure, Shinnecock Indian. Really? You're Shinnecock? Yes. Oh, Shinnecock. Yeah, could have fooled me. That's the kind I am. Hey, you should be a big key bastard, not older. His family was here when Columbus landed. Is that right? Yeah. So you are not a black man, you're an Indian. I'm an Indian. No kidding. Now this is a shock.
We are learning more today.
Hey, you look totally black. Yeah, it's definitely an Indian. Wow, definitely.
So the Indians and the firewater don't get along, you know that.
So there you go, from his own words. He's a Shinnecock Indian, and you thought he was crazy, and you thought he was just drunk all the time, but he was trying to tell us something, you know. He was ahead of the game, you know, ahead by years, you know. So I just wanted to put this out there real quick now. If you've made it this far, well, I'm glad you did, because we're gonna start showing some scientific, historic data. All right, so we're gonna start with scientific anthropology. All right, so let's start. All right, so we're gonna start with this article from National Geographic, and it's titled "Most Complete Ice Age Skeleton Helps Solve Mystery of First Americans," because we want to know who was here first, right? That's the whole argument, right? So it says here, the oldest complete skeleton of its kind ever found, dating to more than 12,000 years ago, is helping solve a mystery about the differences in body types between the first humans to arrive in the Americas and the later Native Americans, scientists announced Thursday. So they're saying there's differences between people who were aboriginally here in America first, and then the difference between those that were here later that are called Native Americans today. The scientists are saying this, right? It says anthropologists have long puzzled over why Native Americans don't look more like their ancient ancestors, who migrated into the Americas during the Pleistocene, the epoch that encompassed the last ice age that ended about 12,000 years ago. So anthropologists are clearly telling us that the bones they're finding don't look nothing like the Native Americans of today, and they're puzzled as to why. Why don't they look like that anymore? Right? So let's go down. In a flooded cave in Mexico, divers transported skull for 3D scanning between 12,000 and 13,000 years old. The skull is part of the most complete skeleton of such antiquity yet discovered in the Americas. Thus, the ancient skulls are larger, their faces are narrower and more forward projecting, and they more closely resemble native peoples of Africa, Australia, and the southern Pacific Rim than they do their supposed American descendants. Alright, so you hear that? So these skulls they're finding, well, this one especially in this cave, 12,000 years old, says that it resembles more native people of Africa and Australia, right? And what do these people look like, right? So-called Negro, right? Then they're supposed American descendants, like the Mongoloid peoples that are in the reservations today. They don't look nothing like them, all right? These are National Geographic. So you can continue reading this. It's online. Just Google it. Let me go to something else. So it says here, a DNA search for the first Americans links Amazon groups to the indigenous Australians. This is from the Smithsonian.com. It says the new genetic analysis takes aim at the theory that just one founding group settled the Americas. You can see here, this copper-colored native, right? So it says Brazil's Surui people, like the man pictured above, share ancestry with indigenous Australians. New evidence suggests. Part of the article where it's talking about this findings, it says race group had also previously found genetic evidence for a single founding migration. But while sifting through genomes from cultures in Central and South America, Pontus Skoglund, a researcher in Ray's lab, noticed that the Surui and Caritiana people of the Amazon had stronger ties to indigenous groups in Australasia and Australians, New Guineans and Andaman Islanders than to Eurasians, alright? So, Central and South America, alright? It says other analyses haven't looked at Amazonian populations in depth, and genetic samples are hard to come by. So, the Harvard lab teamed up with researchers in Brazil to collect more samples from Amazonian groups to investigate the matter. Together, they scrutinized the genomes of 30 Native American groups in Central and South America, right? 30. Using 4 statistical strategies, they compared the genomes to each other and to those of 197 populations from around the world. Now, listen to this. The signal persisted. 3 Amazonian groups, Suri, Caritiana, and Chavante, all had more common with Australasians than any group in Siberia, alright? They're not related to Siberians. There you go again. So, let's continue with this. Alright, so scientific anthropology, we see that basically correlates with historic data, like this 1828 Webster's Dictionary telling us that the American is a native of America, originally applied to the Aborigines or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans. that the American is a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans. That the American is a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans. Alright, so I'm going to start working with your senses to show you, what these early explorers were seeing in their records and in the books where they were drawn, the photos they were taken. So over here to the far left is an Iroquois chief, in the middle is a Wachita Native American, and on the right is basically the book of Magellan's travels to the Strait of Magellan in South America. All of these so-called Negroes copper-colored.
It says here, Life Among the Texas Indians, the WPA narrative. From this book right here, as you can see. Alright, so it says in this part right here of this book, it says on August 2nd, 1937, there was a human skeleton discovered deposited in a crevice of limestone rock in Atoka County. This location being within the boundary of the hunting grounds in which the Comanche Indians were permitted to use as their hunting grounds for 90 days. At that time, permission was given. A band of Creek Indians was hunting in different locations Pittsburgh County without permission, which caused some trouble between the Choctaw and Creek Indians.
No problem.
In all probability, the Comanche Indians at their usual hunting season camped at this particular place.
I got your back.
The human skull and skeleton shows that probably he was a Negro Indian type. He was probably a Negro Indian type and indicated that he was shot with a bow and arrow, the arrowhead being the type that Comanches used. The point of the arrowhead entering the body extends into the backbone, and the point of the arrowhead still remains in the backbone of the skeleton.
What's up? What's up?
Beads and other ornaments found with the skeleton show the type that a Creek Negro Indian wore in those days.
Hold up.
Again, one of the skeleton. Beads and other ornaments found with the skeleton show the type that a Creek Negro Indian wore in those days. Again, a Negro Creek Indian.
A Negro Creek Indian.
And the beads and the ornaments. Alright?
What?
More correlation.
Let's go. What? What up,
now
y'all?
Let's go to this journal. It's from an anthropological science magazine
Hope y'all
journal.
doing all right.
This came out in 1939. Volume 38 actually spoke of the same thing. It was like the beginning of the talk, and the next month for volume 39 they continue to talk about it. So it says here, see if I can zoom into it. So again, it's Man, a monthly record of anthropological science, published under the direction of the Royal Anthropological Institute of Great Britain and Ireland. It says here, Negro skeletal remains from Indian sites in the West Indies. It says the recent paper in this journal by Buxton, Trevor and Julian, they're talking about the previous article I mentioned, right? Volume 47, 1938, implies that an undeformed physical type inhabited Virgin Islands Columbian time. Is this implication previously accepted findings for the Antilles be shown later, but it also fails to give adequate consideration to the possibility of these skeletal remains representing intrusive Negro burials. The mere presence of skeletons in a sand or shell mound of Indian origin, like in careful stratigraphic records, is not certain evidence of primary association with the accompanying artifacts. Moreover, I venture to say that few physical anthropologists familiar with American Indian skulls would mistake for Indians those illustrated by Buxton, Trevor, and Julian. Indeed, most physical anthropologists would probably be less conservative and say Negro instead of Negro. Alright, so 100% Negro. He wouldn't even say it's Negro-ish, right? Or Negroid. It's a Negro or copper-colored person, right? In support of the opinion that these authors are describing Negroes, One, I wish to present a similar case from Barbados, British West Indies. From correspondence with Mr. E.M. Shilstone of Bridgetown, Barbados, it appears that in August 1933, he commenced to excavate a sandy ridge about 50 yards from high water mark on the shore of Chancery Lane on the southern coast of the island. The ridge proved to be a kitchen, midden containing many objects of Arawak workmanship. Among other things encountered in the site was a skeleton, lying on its left side at about 20 inches under the surface.
My bad, Sam.
Mr. Shilston believed this skeleton to be that of an Arawak Indian, and in 1937 presented it as such to the U.S. National Museum. Upon reconstruction of the skull from the many fragments in which it was received in Washington, I felt justified in calling it a Negro, for reasons that will appear from the following description. Two views of the Barbados skulls are shown in Play D 1 and 2. Comparison with the two skulls shown in the paper by Buxton, Trevor, and Julian indicates that the individual and sex differences are no more than would be expected of the range of variation in a single race. Certainly, however, such Negroid features as alveolar prognatism, broad nose, and low orbits are more pronounced in the case of the Virgin Island skulls. So as you can see, this information here correlating more findings of skulls. So it's not just in one location, right? So far we got a couple of different sources.
Right.
In the same article, just a little bit ahead in the next page, it says, without going into further details in connection with physical type, I will call attention to one thing that clearly proves the Barbados specimen to be Negro. The photograph of the normal frontalis shows the upper median incisors to be artificially pointed. We have here a well-known type of West African dental mutilation. So this is actually from the first article, volume number 38, before the just read, when they were just learning that this was actually starting to look like Negro, I guess, saying. So right here, they're still arguing.
Yeah, I gotta see that shit.
Show you. It says, Professor Had, over the faith, seemed to argue against the likelihood of secondary interment after the introduction of Negro slaves in the 17th century. While admitting that the conditions of their final recovery were far from ideal, we are inclined provisionally to accept a pre-Columbian date for the remains as a whole. They're saying that these bones are pre-Columbian, before Columbus, so it's not introduced and it wasn't a mixture of African slaves. Now, let's read on. So it's interesting. It says, it is perhaps not without significance that Sir William Flower, 1895, on the Negroid characteristics of 2 out of a number of Jamaican crania of undoubted Indian origin, examined by him. This series was subsequently measured by Dr. Haddon, who mentions the occurrence of considerable variation in the values of the nasal indices in his note on the craniology of the Aborigines of Jamaica, during 1897. Additional human material from the Virgin Islands elucidate the problem arising from the present discussion. So it's becoming a problem to them because they're finding all these Negroid skeletons, right? Pre-Columbian, all over the places, right? So that book from Jamaica, or that reference, you can find it here if you see it. It says Durden J.E. 1897, Aboriginal Indian remains in Jamaica. And Flowers Sir William 1895 on the recent discovered remains of the Aboriginal inhabitants of Jamaica. I did find books, but as little brief parts, and they're blocked. You have to be a member of like a university or something, put in your password. So I wasn't able to get the exact, but if you guys have access to it, there it goes. All right, just do the research. It's there.
Now, before we continue, I just wanted to talk about how ancient people, medieval people, colonial people were depicted in Americans. As you see, these two here pointing to the map of America. This is from the British Museum website. This is an emblem of America. This is another personification here of America. America, again, historical drawings. And more. The one on the right is from Holland. And more depictions here of American indigenous people. The Hispaniola, where Columbus landed, as you can see, he has natives under him, copper colored. This is the natives zoomed in, as you can see, clearly so-called Negroes, right? This is Hernan Cortez in the same painting just over to the right. And as zoomed in, you can see. And these are the Indians that Columbus supposedly brought back with him to Europe, to Spain, and introduced to the king and queen. As you can see, these are copper-colored, so-called Negroes. So again, in these old depictions of the Abokins, we run into this pattern of them being copper-colored, right, or so-called Negroes. This wasn't because they didn't know or they were guessing, it's because this is what they were seeing. So before I continued, I just wanted for you to have this perspective, what these people are encountering on this side of the world.
I also found this article.
I know.
Right?
My bad.
And it says, Lapa
I'm trying my
hominid, morphological affinities of the earliest known American. All right. So let's just read a little bit here. All right, let's close up. It says, several studies concerning the extracontinental morphological affinities of Paleo-Indian skeletons carried out independently in South and North America have indicated that the Americas were first occupied by non-Mongoloids. You hear that? Non-Mongoloids that made their way to the New World through the Bering Strait in ancient times, because that's the only way they could imagine it. The first South Americans show a clear resemblance to modern South Pacific and African populations. You hear that? While the first Americans seem to be in unresolved morphological position between modern South Pacific and European. In none of these analyses, the first Americans show any resemblance to either Northeast Asians or modern Native Americans, okay? So far, these studies have included affirmed and putative early skeletons thought to date between 8,000 to 10,000 years before the present. In this work, the extracontinental morphological affinities of Paleo-Indian skeleton, well dated between 11,000 and 11,500 years before the present, Lapa Brahma hominid or Lucia, is investigated using as comparative samples howls, worldwide modern series and hapgoods, Old World Lake Pleistocene fossil hominids. The comparison between Lapa Brahmana hominid 1 and Howl series was based on canonical variety analysis, including 45 size corrected craniometric variables, while the comparison with hominids was based on principal component analysis, including 16 size corrected variables. In the first case, Lapa Bermeja 4th hominid 1 exhibited an undisputed morphological affinity, firstly with Africans and secondly with South Pacific populations. You hear that? They were Negro. These skeletons, the anthropological science has concluded that it resembles more Africans than second South Pacific populations instead of the actual Native Americans of today, Mongoloid. In the second comparison, the earliest known American skeleton had its close similarities with early Australians and Sukodian, Upper Cave 103 and Taforal 18. The results obtained clearly confirm the idea that the Americas were first colonized by a generalized Homo sapiens population which inhabited East Asia in the late Pleistocene before the definition of the classic Mongoloid morphology. Alright? And it's not me who's created this. This is from Silo Lab, Genetics and Molecular Biology. This is from the Genetics Molecular Biology Journal, Volume 22, in Sao Paulo, December of 1999. Alright, just in case you guys want to go look it up, here's the email. You can contact them and ask them for yourselves.
Alright, so before we go into the historical accounts of what these early colonists, explorers, settlers, pilgrims, conquistadors saw, described as the characteristics of these aborigines or indigenous people they were encountering, the colors, how they were, their, the complexion, their stature, the body type, and everything. We're gonna go over some words that they're gonna mention a lot, such as, copper colored. So, as we all know, if you don't know the color of copper, right? Let's take a look at a few examples, right? Copper. We know that the penny is made out of copper, and even the old pennies were even a little bit darker. So it does make sense, you know, when they say copper colored, who they're referencing, right? And we just need to use our senses for that. They also mention a lot, of course, brown skin. We know as well who is brown skin and what color usually the shades of brown are. We have a reference of as well as Swarti. And Swarti, basically the meaning of Swarti just means, you know, dark skin or black or a dark complexion. They're also the reference of the Aborigines being of cinnamon color, right? We know what that looks like as well, you know, as well as the different shades of cinnamon, as you can see in this cinnamon color palette. And of course, you know, we all know the term the red man, right? They used to call the Indians the red man, but when they're talking about red, you know, they're really basically talking almost copper or a brownish red, not red like an apple or red like a red rose, but they're talking about that mahogany, right? Cinnamon, copper color kind of red. And I wanted to read something to you here from New York Times regarding the color Crayola had called Indian red. So it says here, chestnut replaces a color Crayola called Indian red. From New York Times, July 27, 1999. After sifting through more than 250,000 suggested names, Crayola has renamed its reddish brown crayon to avoid misunderstandings over the color's origin. The color Indian red, which Crayola said was based on reddish brown pigment commonly found near India, was dropped because teachers complained students thought it described the skin color of American Indians. So you see how they're trying to like bullshit that they're trying to say that it resembles something in India. But we know exactly what they meant when they named this Crayola Indian red. Look at the color, it's almost brown. Alright? Continuing, says the new name will appear on 15 million crayons each year beginning in September. It is only the third time in the company's 96-year history that a color has been changed. Only the third time. So why is this so controversial? And why did they have to change it?
Right.
They knew eventually you would wake up
Facts.
and notice and put two and two together.
Facts.
Nearly 100,000 people from age 3 to 90 submitted names, including 155 people who suggested chestnut. Other popular suggestions included red clay, clay red, and Mars red. Others rejected names included ginger spice, crab claw red, old penny, there you go, old penny, and baseball mitt. One person even suggested the crayon formerly known as Indian red in honor of the rock musician formerly known as Prince. Very funny. Again, so I just wanted to put this into perspective before I start getting into the historical accounts of the physical characteristics of the indigenous by the early settlers, explorers, conquistadors.
I don't know what happened.
Again, so I just wanted to put this into perspective before I start.
Who is that? That's Della Reese, huh? My bad, y'all.
And formerly known as Indian red in honor of the rock musician formerly known as Prince. Very funny.
Check out Della Reese.
Again, so I just wanted to put this into perspective before I start getting into the historical accounts of the physical characteristics of the indigenous by the early settlers, explorers, and conquistadors. All right, so let's get.
Did you know Jimmy Harris was a Cherokee?
From Carlos Cuervo Marquez, 1858 to 1930, ethnologist, botanist, military general, and historian. Says the Negro type is seen in the most ancient Mexican sculpture. The Negroes figure frequently in the most remote traditions of some American pueblos. It is to this race doubtlessly belongs the most ancient skeletons, distinct from the red American race, which have been found in various places from Bolivia to Mexico. It is likely that we repeat America was a Negro continent. Again, we repeat, America was a Negro
America was a Negro continent.
Marquez from Estudios Arqueológicos y Etnográficos, Volume 1, Madrid, 1920.
Whoa!
So, you know, another correlation here, you know, everybody, but we always got static telling us, you can't believe everything you read on the internet, right? So the good thing is, I was actually able to find this book in Spanish.
In Spanish? Okay.
Let's read it together.
Let's get it.
So this is the cover of the book, Estudios Arqueológicos y Etnográficos. So let's get right into it.
Let's get
Alright, so I went to right to page 23, chapter 5, and it says here, Los Negroides in America, or the Negroes in America.
in America.
All right, so this is the part that I'm going to translate. Take a look at it. So what I did is I copy pasted this and brought it to Google Translate. All right, let's take a look. So it translates to, says, several isolated but concordant facts allow us to suppose that before the formation and development of the three great ethnographic groups of which we have just spoken, the Pampas, Andeans, and Caribs, a large part of America was occupied by an inferior race of Negroid type. Okay? The conquerors found scattered throughout the New World small tribes that from the first moment were, and continuing, this is what I'm going to translate now, continuing. So again, remember we ended up with were, so again it continues, were considered as belonging to the black race.
I caught that too.
Such were, for example, the Otomi from Mexico, the snails from Haiti, the Arcajo from Utara, the Arabos from Orinoco, the Porcejis and the Malayas from Brazil, the Manatus, Quito, the Chuanas, the Darien, etc. Structures that are various of the American red race, which in several parts of the continent have been found from Bolivia to Mexico, must be referred to this race. They're talking about the Negroid skeletons they found. Worthy of attention in this regard are the two skulls of exaggerated prognatism with a lowered forehead, very developed apophyses, and strong superciliary arches that in the Sumapaz Mountains found the illustrated Professor Dr. Juan de Dios Carrasquilla. So they're referring to another type of skulls, right? Negroid skulls being found in Sumapaz, that is Bogota, Colombia. So more correlation, right?
Colombia, niggas
Negro
is found
type,
in
Australian type, right? Copper-colored, so-called Negro.
Whoa!
Right? And so again, that was from the findings of Carlos Cuervo Marquez, Negroids in America, and you can see here some of the stuff in the book. Now I want to reference this other book. It's called Crania Americana, a comparative view, skulls of various aboriginal nations of North and South America. All right. So I wanted to kind of belly flop to page 68. And before we continue talking about their characteristics and the colors of these tribes, this author mentions something very interesting in this part. It says, Mr. Shawcraft mentions beards as common among the Potawatomis and alludes to a very old man of that tribe whose long descending gray beard would not disgrace a Nazarite. So these Potawatomis were upper Mississippi, the greater western Great Lakes, and Mongoloids, people Asian, they really don't grow beard like that. So
they don't grow beards like that.
Which is very interesting and correlating to what we're going to be talking about later. So continuing this page, it says a copper-colored skin has been assumed by most writers as a characteristic distinction of the Americans, who have hence been called the copper-colored race.
What?
Right? Copper-colored race. The investigations of Dr. McCullough satisfactorily prove that this designation is wholly inapplicable to the Americans as a race, and that it is more characteristic of some other and very remote nations. So he's saying that this is unlikely that they're talking about the modern Mongoloid Asians they found, or are in the reservations today, or in the time they hold books in 1800s, 1900s, right? And that it's more of a characteristic of a very remote nation, or the true aborigines, the Negroes that were here from the beginning. Continues, says the error has obviously arisen from the habitual use among many tribes of red paint to a brown skin, which occasions a coppery hue. Humboldt declares that the denomination of copper-colored men could never have originated in the equinoctial regions to designate the Americans, and I can further testify that among the individuals of many different tribes that have come under my observation, I have never seen a copper-colored man.
That's him. We consider, therefore, says Dr. McCullough, that the color of the American Indians in general is brown. Right? What's the difference? Copper-colored brown, differing in intensity with various tribes according to various localities, but that it is almost impossible to say what that brown color principally resembles. The cinnamon is, in my apprehension, the nearest approach to it, still too inaccurate for general comparison, so similar, I would say. I fully coincide in opinion with Dr. McCullough and believe that no epithet derivable from the color of the skin so correctly designate the Americans collectively as that of the brown race. Again, the brown race. Alright? Although the Americans thus possess a pervading and characteristic complexion, there are occasional and very remarkable deviations, including all the tints from a decided white to an unequivocally black skin. There you go. Black skin.
Whoa.
Alright, so black skin. Alright, copper color, right? This is an 1827 delegation, as the picture was described to be. This is map of Peru. You can see the copper colored people there, and Tierra del Fuego natives to the right, that's in South America, Argentina. Over to the left is Big Loon, a Blackfeet Indian. Over to the right is a Grado, pagan tribe, and in the middle just another copper colored native. Here we have a depiction of a map. It says Mardi Ethiopia, and it's actually on top of South America.
South America.
So it's referring to South America
as
Ethiopia. Towards the left you see a tobacco Indian, either in Virginia or in the Caribbean. And of dark skin, as it says many times throughout history, dark skinned people were usually referred to as Ethiopian.
Ethiopians
and
or
as it says here in the history of Hernan de Soto in Florida, I got this from the footnote. It says Ethiopian is a name that anciently was given to dark-colored people. All right, so I mean we already knew that, but there's more correlation, right? And to the left we have Beji or Beji. In the middle we have Billy Bowlegs, and on the right we have a North American Indian, Kalispell. It says here 1924. This is Bird on the Ground is his name. As you can see, with his pipe and his staff in his hand, and the clothing has symbols, native symbols like the cross and everything before it was hijacked. To the left we have Black Thunder, in the middle we have Black Owl from Wisconsin, and to the right we have a copper colored Native American. To the left, Blackfoot Chief, and the right, Geno Smith. Before and after. So, do you remember who you are? Let's continue. The American nations, or outlines of a national history of the ancient and modern nations of North and South America. It says, of this wide western hemisphere, let us retrace the history. Of all the nations dwelling here, let us recall the memory. So they're talking about it, all the tribes, right? All the peoples living here. It says, from the University of California Library. This book is from 1836, all right? So let's see. All right, so I just want to belly flop through a couple parts of this book. Right here in the introduction on page 32, it says, thought it is a positive fact that many ancient nations of the East, such as the Libyans, Moors, Etruscans, Phoenicians, Hindus, etc., had heard of America, or knew nearly as much of it as we did of Australia and Polynesia 100 years ago. And if you've been following the journey, you've been watching my videos and other videos on YouTube from other scholars, you know, we know this is the old world. So of course, you know, these nations were probably also here and they knew of America, of course. Continuing, it says, it is a certain that America contained anciently as even now a crowd of distinct nations and tribes, some of which were quite civilized, perhaps as much as the Spaniards led by Columbus, the others more barbarous, but not entirely savage. There were, but most of them were wandering tribes of fishermen or hunters. Alright, so we get to the part that's going to correlate to what we've been learning, right, about the characteristics. As there were formerly in America, as now, tribes of all complexions as elsewhere, yellowish, olive, coppery, tawny, reddened, brown, incarnate, or white, and even blackened or Negro-like. Again, blackened or Negro-like. How much more correlation do we need? Continues, says, tall and dwarfish men from 8 to 4 feet in size, called giants and pygmies, men with various frames, skulls, and features of all the sorts found in the Eastern Hemisphere. Continuing, it says, the Americans had long before Columbus large cities built of stones, bricks, or wood, with walls, ditches, temples, palaces, some of which were of immense size and population. One of them was Otulum, near the Palenque, was 28 miles long, equal to Thebes, Babylon, and Kinosh in size and monument. And further down in this book it says, respecting the chronology of the American annals, it is rather obscure and doubtful, but perhaps not more so than that of all ancient nations except the Chinese. It frequently ascends as far as the floods and even creation. Right, as far as the floods and creation. Are you understanding what they're trying to tell us there? So just like the Bible, right? These people's oral tradition goes all the way back to creation, or the flood, right? The flood of Noah, or in the Garden of Eden, creation, when Hawa made the heavens and the earth. So let's continue. It says, the most ancient dates are found among the Toltecas and Atlantes. They were Toltecas. With this book further down, or in later chapters of this, it says here, American anthropography will teach that there were men of all sizes, features, and complexions before 1492, notwithstanding the false assertions of many writers who take one nation for the whole American group. The Ushiks, the Puruais, the Parias, the Chongs, etc., were as white as the Spaniards. Wow, as white as the Spaniards, right? That's interesting to know what these tribes were, where they came from. It says 50 such tribes were found in South America, while many tribes of Choco, the Manabis, the Yaruras, and etc., were as black as Negroes. Right? They were as black as Negroes. All the other shades of brown, tawny, and coppery were scattered everywhere. There was not a single red in America, unless painted such. Right? So they're basically telling you it's not that, you know, that tag that they have with the Native American as the red man, you know, that wasn't the case. He's clearly telling you they were more coppery, brown, you know, tawny, you know, black as Negroes, not red. All right, so let's continue with this video into another source. So another historic account. This is Verrazano's voyage along the Atlantic coast of North America, 1524. The east coast of America, what he saw there, and the natives that he encountered on this side of the world. Let's go. Right, so on page 7 of this book, this account from Giovanni Vasaro, it says here, regarding the Indians, some wear certain garlands of feathers or birds. They are dark color, not much unlike the Ethiopians, all right? So they're saying that they're dark in color, just like an Ethiopian. And in those days, we know that Ethiopian was referenced a lot to people of dark skin or dark complexion, or peoples living in lands where there was only people of copper color, like the third Ethiopia or the farthest Ethiopia, right? Continues, says, and hair black and thick. Who has black and thick hair? Not very long, which they tie together back on their head in the shape of a little tail.
What?
As for the symmetry of the man, they are well proportioned, of medium stature, and rather exceeded. So he's telling them how, you know, the physical aspects of the Aborigines he's inhabiting, and who does that sound like too? And in the very next page, on page 8, he starts talking about some other natives he encountered in the East Coast, and on the bottom page it says, which young man learned of this people that they are of dark color, like the others. So just like the others he saw, they are colored. This other tribe he's talking about. The flesh more lustrous, of medium stature, the face more clear-cut, much more delicate of body, and other members of much less strength and intelligence. So we got another count here. This guy is called Vicente Riva Palacio from 1832 to 1896. He was a military general, politician, historian, writer, and grandson of the first black president of Mexico, Vicente Guerrero, it says here, alright? Did you know Mexico had a black president? Now, it says, it is undisputable that in very ancient times, the Negroes occupied Mexico. They brought their own religious cults and ideals. And that's from the book Mexico a través de los siglos, volume 1. Mexico 1887. Here, look at the Indian. As you can see, upper right, so-called Negro. In Webster's Dictionary, 1828, American, a native of America, originally applied to the aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans.
Whoa!
So again, look at these Indians on this book cover, copper-colored.
Whoa!
All right, and this is the book again, Mexico a través de los siglos. The cover inside the book. Once you get to page 63. And through 67, you start reading this part of El Hombre Negro, as it's called here, as how he is the original inhabitant of the Americas. All right, so let's read some small segments of this book and what he says about the native Mexicans, right? The Aborigines. So we're going to translate this part right here first. And it says, as a clear trace of the black race, we have some little heads of Teotihuacan, and we've seen a clear type serpentine mask. Regarding those little heads, we'll say that in the innumerable tumuli from the ruins of that great city are found between different objects. They are made of clay and end in the neck or appendix. According to Mr. Orozco, they put on the mounds to commemorate the race of everybody, and indeed, examining them carefully, it is observed that they are not formed at illibitum. In comparing them, it is noticed that the artificers copied determined people. Among them are some with a flat nose and lips outgoing, which could not be applied but to individuals of a black race. So he's saying that these little heads are depicting black people, have black features or copper-colored features or so-called Negro features. It is also noticed in the examination of those little heads that belong to the known types, while others refer to figures and completely touched, strange and different from those raised during the historical times. This proves that previously there were towns with unknown customs and diverse races of those of earlier times. Okay, I think it would suffice to venture the claim of the former existence of the black race, the finding made of little heads of its kind. But for the most part, we have as another test the colossal head of Huayapán. It was discovered in the 1860s in the hacienda of that name, located near San Andrés Tuxtla, in one of the most hot near our Gulf Coast. We found coincidentally in the field, and the curiosity was limited to digging the earth to cover it, leaving it in the hole that had been formed. Head, it is granite, 2 yards high and with the corresponding proportions. Your type is clearly Ethiopian. Alright, so of so-called Negro or Ethiopian is same here. And his special headdress and the cuneiform incision that he has on his forehead, and that he remembers some sacred sign of Asia. Alright, so very ancient. And continuing as it says here, but the peremptory test of the former existence of the black race in our continent are found in him, and others speak to us the primitive chroniclers. So they're saying that the remnants of these black tribes are still in America. And it says, such are the Caracules of Haiti, the Californiums of the Caribbean Islands, the Californiums of the Caribbean Islands. You hear that? Argiahu, Kutara, the Aroras, 6 Yararas of the Orinoco, the Chaimas of Guyana, the Monujipas, Yorsigis, and Malayas of Brazil, Negritas, Chuanas of the Isthmus of Darien, the Manalis of Popoyanas, and Jaras of Sahinos, Honduras, the estuaries of New California, the black Indians found by the Spaniards in Louisiana. You heard that right? Black Indians found in Louisiana by the Spaniards. It says, it continues, and the moon-eyed and albinos discovered in Panama, and destroyed others by the Iroquois. So you see all these tribes that this chronicler knows, this historian, that they were Negro, so-called blacks. They were aboriginal to this side of the world. And just to finish up on this book, it says here later on in later chapters, this says, and therefore of the offspring of Botanes was called Teopisca, corruption of Teopisca, which means place of the priest. If we wanted then to suppose for a moment to Botan or to Samna, we would say that they were two black priests that they had brought from the Libya, the new civilization and new cult. So hear what they're saying. They're saying these two gods are priests and that they're black priests that came from Libya. This we would explain those Ethiopian-faced gods with the singular cuneiform sign, like the head of Hueyapan and the gigantic axe. It would also give us reason to why the gods were anointed with Ni'u and themselves black. Particularly, that had its origin of the southern civilization, then to Quetzalcoatl, priesthood. It was painted white and bearded.
Okay, I'm reconnecting on. My bad, y'all.
Males. This water was called Tilitlant, which meant water black. And when a sick child took him to drink from, when a sick child took him to drink from Tiating, he had the particular image of this god, who was not painted or sculpted like that of the others, but it was a priest who dressed with the special custom of the deity that he represented. It seems they wanted with this living image mean so expressive to the black priest who had introduced the cult and in God had been converted. So they're saying that this person was made into a god. He was a priest and he was the one teaching them the, I guess their religious teachings, or as he calls it here, cult. Now it's interesting when they're saying they painted the face black to be like the priest in ancient times. The later on Native Americans who don't look black, so-called black, they did actually do that. They still do that. Sometimes they're so black, as it's saying here. All right, so just wanted to finish up with this book so you can see that even in their mythology or even in their gods or their traditional, their historic priest kings, right, like the Meshi, from Shikas, right, we're talking about the same people, right? It was Moshe, priest, Khan, right, Kukulkan, which means high law-giving priest. Alright, so I just wanted to read this to corroborate a little bit and show you that they also represent their gods as so-called Negro. And continue, this book is called The History of the American Indians, particularly those nations adjoining in the Mississippi, East and West, Florida, Georgia, South and North Carolina, and Virginia. This is written by James Adair. Alright. So right in the beginning, almost in the very first chapter of this book, it says a history of the North American Indians and their customs, right? It says observations of the color, shapes, temper, and dress of the Indians of America. And let me zoom in here. It says the Indians are of a copper or red clay color. Again, copper or red clay color, just like Webster's dictionary. And they delight in everything which they imagine may promote and increase it accordingly. From the book Lies My Teacher Told Me, Everything Your American History Textbooks Got Wrong by James W. Lowen. And it's a good book. We're going to belly flop to page 43 right now. Alright, so I'm going to start in this part where it says Columbus' son Ferdinand. So it says Columbus' son Ferdinand, who accompanied the admiral on his third voyage, reports that people they met or heard about in eastern Honduras are almost black in color. Black in color. Alright? And they say ugly in aspect, probably Africans. Probably Africans, right? In his perspective, because he thinks everybody comes out of Africa. Alright? So it continues as the first the first Europeans to reach Panama, Balboa and company reported seeing black slaves in Indian town. Again, black slaves in an Indian town. The Indians said that they had captured them from a nearby black community. The nearby black community. What do they mean by that? Oral history from Afro-Mexicans contain tales of pre-Columbian crossing from West Africa, supposedly, right? According to him. In all, then, data from diverse sources suggest that the pre-Columbian voyages from West Africa to America were probable. But we're going to read later on, we're going to talk about this, that, it's known that it's 4 times harder to come from Africa to America than the other way around, from America to as the current. If we follow it, even just by flowing the current, it'll bring you up
Have a good day
from the
too.
Caribbean up to North America, all the way over to Europe and down to Africa, West Africa. And we're gonna see this later in another book called Africans and Native Americans by Jack Forbes. All right. Alright, so before I proceed, I wanted to talk to you about this image right here and where it's from. Actually, in Mexico, so you can see it's copper-colored Native Americans. So if you Google Bonampak murals, you're gonna get this. All these images from this actual Mayan temple they actually found inside. The painting was still preserved, and it actually tells you, you know, how they look like. So let's read a little bit about it. Alright, it says here, the discovery of the Bonampak murals. As you can see, it says the classic Maya site of Bonampak in the state of Chiapas, Mexico. So it's located in Chiapas, Mexico. Is best known for its mural paintings. The murals cover the walls of 3 rooms in the so-called Temple de las Pinturas, or Temple de las Pinturas, Temple of the Paintings, or Structure 1, a small building on the first terrace of Bonampak's Acropolis. Alright, so you can do your research on it a little bit more. You'll find some interesting stuff in it. So before I continue with Bonampak, I have this book. It's called An Inquiry into the Distinctive Characteristics of the Aboriginal Race of America by Samuel George Morton. Alright, so we're going to go into this book just so we can take a look at what he's saying. So right from the beginning of this book, the author clearly explained to us what he's seeing in these regions of the world. It says, it is chiefly my intention to produce a few of the more strikingly characteristic traits of these people to sustain the position that all the American nations, except in the Eskimo, are of one race, and that this race is peculiar and distinct from all others. So he's saying that a lot of the tribes are basically almost one, except the Siberian Eskimos, right? Alright, so it says physical characteristics. It is an adage among travelers that he who has seen one tribe of Indians has seen all. So much do the individuals of this race resemble each other, notwithstanding their immense geographical distribution and those differences of climate which embrace the extremes of heat and cold. The half-clad Fuegian, shrinking from his dreary winter, has the same characteristic lineaments, though in an exaggerated degree, as the Indians of the tropical plains, and these again resemble the tribes which inhabit the region west of Rocky Mountains, those of the Great Valley of the Mississippi, and those again which skirt the Eskimo on the north. All possess alike the long, lank, black hair, the brown or cinnamon-colored skin, again, brown or cinnamon-colored skin, the heavy brow, the dull and sleepy eye, the full and compressed lips, okay, again, full and compressed lips, and the salient but dilated nose. And continuing in the very next page, it says here, it cannot be questioned that physical diversities do occur, equally singular and inexplicable, as seen in different shades of color, varying from a fair tint to a complexion almost black. Again, from a fair tint to almost black. When they mean fair, they mean light-skinned, like a light-skinned Negro, right, or black person. And this too under circumstances in which climate can have little or no influence. So also in reference to stature, the differences are remarkable in entire tribes, which moreover are geographically proximate to each other. These facts, however, are mere exceptions to a general rule. Okay, so it's saying this is an exception, though, to a general, and do not alter the peculiar physiognomy of the Indian, which is undividingly characteristic as that of the Negro.
What?
Alright, so again, he's saying that you cannot doubt that the Indian undividingly has characteristics of that of, for whether we see him in the athletic Cherub or Carib, right, athletic again, or the stunned Chima in the dark Californian, again dark Californian, or the fair Boroa, he is an Indian still and cannot be mistaken for being of any other race.
Wow.
He's not African.
Wow.
He's clearly telling you.
Wow.
Even though they have these Negro characteristics,
right,
and they clearly like the dark Californian, athletic Cherubs, they are not African or from any other place. They are Indian, and cannot be mistaken for being of any other race. Alright? And this is one of the murals in this temple, as you can see. The hue or the color of their skin. This is another mural there. And I'm going to give you a little close-up of this. Just want you to see how it looks like from far away. These people own the second or right under the king of Maya. They have dreadlocks. So here you can see the dreadlocks right coming out of their hair. It's clearly dreadlocks. Here's another picture. It's more saturation, more color, so you can distinguish.
Way more
dreadlocks coming
look
out
at them
of
dreads.
their head.
I don't shake your dreads.
And here's another mural, as you can see. Another reference here. And as you can see, all copper-colored Native Americans. This is how the walls look in there in one of the temples. Right, so you can take a look at a perspective. So you can see that, how more clear can it be?
Right.
These are Mayas. These are ancient Mexicans, all right? So I just want you to see that before I ended the video. This is a good time to end it because it's already now in 10 minutes into it. I think I don't want to saturate you with too much info. I want you to meditate on what I've shown you.
Yeah,
and
meditate.
Please tune into the next video because I'm going to continue. I have way more correlation evidence and historic data to share with you guys. So thank you for being here. Thank you for taking this journey with me. And, blessings. Hawa.
Hawa. Sabata. Hey. That's my boy Kerry Mayo. Hold up. That motherfucker done dipped already, man. I couldn't even show you the link.
Hey shoppers, don't miss the year-end closeout going on.
Yeah, this is Paige though. That's Paige Curry Mayo. We were just looking at part 1. It's plenty more parts. Plenty more stunning visuals for you to see and a whole lot of more insightful information for y'all to get with. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna come with I actually want to do this too. I want to do first-hand accounts real quick. I don't know if I'm gonna get flagged for this or not, but I'm gonna just go ahead and say fair use off the break. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say fair use off the break. Checkmate. Facts. That's big facts. Big facts. That's what I said. Checkmate, nigga. What is this? This is there you go. Hold on. But this ain't the video I want to show y'all. I want to show y'all the first-hand accounts of folks that's actually finding out. You know what I mean? That they've been lied to. You know what I'm saying? We gonna go with. I like to bring folks that don't necessarily look like to the forefront. Sometimes that make people want to scratch their head. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna say fair use. This is
foundling homes in Florence alone, in Italy. 2 foundling homes alone got 45,000 children delivered.
This is educational purposes. Fair use. This is for educational purposes. This is Wake Up Indigenous Niji. I'm about to show y'all the page in just 1 second. As soon as I can get to a place where I can correct this camera and get everything set up how it's supposed to. Y'all just bear with me. Just bear with me. This is fair use, like I said. This is educational. You know what I'm saying? Instructional. You know what I'm saying? This is just for your education. You know what I'm saying? Let me come on right here. Where it's all right. Camera's back on. All right. That shit's tripping. It's all good though. Want y'all to see this. This is Wake Up Indigenous. Here you go. You can see the title clear now. Wake Up Indigenous Need Ye page. Hold on, let me go to his home page real fast. And give all the credit to where the credit is due. This is his page. On YouTube. This right here. This is going to be the historian Max Egan. The historian Max Egan. And he's just gonna break down just a little bit. I just want y'all to know, where all I'm trying to, but this is for educational purposes, I don't know why the fuck this camera keep tripping like this. Because I'm in this car like this or whatever. But I just want y'all to check out some of this shit he said, though. Let's go.
Given to them in 1 year. Okay, and they were shipping these children everywhere, and they just took these children out to all these countries, and they taught them whatever history they wanted to teach them. And there's even another guy called Dane Calloway who's been looking into the slave trade in Africa, and he's realised that most of the black people in Africa are actually Native Americans. They weren't brought there from Africa. The whole thing has been concocted. They just put children everywhere and taught them this false history to put everybody against each other, play everybody off against each other with all this false history. Reverse. If you look at it, if you look at the records, you'll find that the black people were already in Africa, and the slaves were the white children that were brought there from Europe. It's all backwards. Everything's backwards that they've told us.
That will be
evidence of this in Virginia, where the first slaves arrived. It's quite amazing when you really start looking into this.
I'm going to start. I mean, I haven't seen any of that evidence that white children were brought to Africa to be slaves for native Africans. I'm not saying it isn't.
Like that. They weren't brought to Africa to be slaves for native Africans, but the Americans, the original Americans, it was a mixed race already. There was the Tartarian culture was already in America, and there were black people, there were Native Americans, there were white people, they were everywhere. But most of this culture was wiped out, and then they repopulated the world with children, and they taught them whatever history they wanted. But there were already black people in Africa, and then the slaves that were brought over were the boatloads of children that were brought there with the settlers to go and repopulate. That's why they were sending 200,000 children per annum across the United States to repopulate San Francisco and stuff, using them as a child labour. Oliver Twist, the chimney sweeps, all the kids were working in the old days. Why was that?
There are clues. There are a lot of clues in that literature. It's interesting you mentioned Dickens, not just in the works of Dickens, but other authors of that period as well. Clues as to what life was really like for children. Before we talk more about Tartary, because this is fascinating stuff, Max. Never know where it's going to go when I speak with you. It's absolutely amazing. What about the slave industry then? What about the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Africans who were taken in chains to the United States? How would that fit into any of that?
Was there really hundreds of thousands of Africans taken in chains to the United States? Did that really happen, or were they already there? Were they already there in the United States? Was that just cooked up? If you go to, I think it's Virginia, and you look at the signs, it says when the first slaves arrived in America, there were 20-odd slaves. 20-odd black people, 20-odd Negroes, it says on this sign. But they changed the sign. In 1992, it said one thing. In 1998, it said something else. 2005, they changed it. 2015, they changed it. Now they changed it again. So they're changing the story all the way. But it says there are only 20-odd people who were on a Portuguese ship. And when they arrived in America, they were not slaves. So the whole thing's weird. There's a channel by a man called Dane Calloway. I need to look into it more. I only looked at a couple of videos. But he's a black man from America, and he's saying, look, most of the blacks in America are Aboriginals. They're American Aboriginals. They're not Africans. This whole thing's been cooked up. And even with the slave trade in Africa, it was the richest of the black leaders, the black landowners in Africa who were selling their own people into slavery. So and everybody was slavery. There was Indians running slaves. There were the white people running slaves. Everybody was slaves. The whole place was running slaves. It wasn't just white people stealing from Africa. It was all. This has been concocted to put the white people and the black people against each other. This is divide and conquer mechanism.
Divide and conquer. But our black listeners now will be screaming bloody murder at the radio. They'll be saying, "Well, hang on a second. We've got an abundance of evidence that slavery had to be abolished." Through obviously the work of Abraham Lincoln, because blacks were kept in bondage on plantations and were subjugated and abused for decades in the United States, more than decades.
There will be records that indicate that, but are the records true? If you really look at it, if you look at the Reformation that happened, you look at the loss of Tartaria and what was really happening around circa 1850 to 1880 all around the world, I would suggest that even the American Civil War, these were all cover-ups for clean-up operations. The colonisation of Australia was a cover-up for a clean-up operation, and the World War I and World War II were still battles for Tartaria. This has been an ongoing war probably since the 1600s, and it's so difficult to find out what actually happened because they've just changed everything. And little snippets of history, all of this stuff probably happened, but who did it happen to? Which country? Where was it? And which bits have been taken from there and applied to other people? If you look at the works of Ulysses from Greece, he said he went off sailing to a green island west of Greece that he called Syria. The only green island you can find west of Greece is England.
That's right.
So, you look at Anatoly Fomenko's work. He claims that Moscow is more likely Jerusalem than Jerusalem. So this is what I mean. We don't know. We really don't know. All we've got is this whole mishmash of history that's been given to us. We've got all of these divisive mechanisms that have been put there to play people off against each other. We've got to realise that we were all slaves. Everybody was slaves.
We are slaves, Max. We are. It's not we were. We are. This is massively important what you're saying right now. People need to understand it. You are a slave. We are the only creatures on this planet that must literally beg a fellow member of our species for the right to live. Of course we're slaves. It's a fact.
It's ridiculous. But the thing is, my parents, my ancestors were brought to this country as children, and they didn't know what was going on. But you can find records of
Very interesting, huh? I got some shit though. Fair use. This Wake Up Indigenous Needs page.
What the fuck they need to sell 1 trillion boats and die across the world for? There's plenty of niggas here. Or nah, wasn't no niggas here. You right. It wasn't no niggas here. It was them Indians. It was them quote unquote Pocahontas red tail niggas that you think was here. Because that's where your mind's at.
Fair use. Educational purposes.
Call us Aboriginal, call us whatever. You putting a small context on it because they want you to think that we're uncivilized. They want you to think that was thousands of years ago. It wasn't that long ago. We are a recently conquered people. Don't buy their timelines. Understand what I'm saying? Don't buy their timelines. I know you mad. Hurt your heart, right? Hurt your heart. You've been riding hard for Africa. But now what you doing? You're scouring. You're reading. With purpose. For the first time in your fucking life. What are you reading? Whose words are you reading? Whose history? Because what happens to people when they get conquered, the history gets conquered as well. No remnants of the past. We was here first. What you don't think when they got here? We was lit, nigga. We had all the pyramids, nigga. All the pyramids, all the obelisks, nigga. We was Greece, we was Egypt, we was all that shit on the same land. We was lit, but we was also pagan. Why the fuck you think we still here paying for our past shit? Because we on that fuck shit. We still think we from Africa. We still worship false idols. It's not that hard to figure out.
You're not free. You're not free. You're not free. You're not free. You're not free.
The
The transatlantic slave trade is a story known to many. But what most people don't know is that much of the information received about the transatlantic slave trade is actually false. Fact, most slave ships transported from Africa went to South America, and less than 5% of all African slaves went to North America. The Indies or the Caribbean islands were a major hub of human trafficking. Most slaves taken from the land known as United States were shipped to Europe, and some to the west coast of Africa. The shipping vessels, of course, were controlled by Jews from Portugal and Spain who ran ships up and down the west coast of Africa. Some of these ships would even bribe local tribes with guns and glitter for the hope that they would sell their people into slavery. Most Africans resisted, but after planting the seeds of deception between tribes, it would only be a matter of time until these Africans started becoming manipulated by the Spaniards. Reports became more evident that the Roman Spaniard crypto Jews were controlling most of the shipping vessels along the coast after trading cheap European textiles and rum for commodities such as ivory, animal pelts, and gold. In many cases, these ships would pose as coastal transportation ships, and they would deceptively kidnap unknowing Africans who thought they were visiting family up the coast. These Africans would then be taken to be brutalized, branded, bonded, and shipped. The Spanish brought more than just African slaves to the New World. They also brought pigs, syphilis, and smallpox. The proposed numbers associated with the amount of Africans brought to the Americas has ranged from as little as 10 million to as much as 100 million. Although it is understood without reconciliation that Africans were taken as slaves to the Americas, the sheer magnitude of that actual number of souls captured and transported is a reach, even for the most imaginative historians. During the peak of the slave trade, around 300 slave ships were in regular operation on voyages from Africa to the Americas. These treks would last a span of 5 to 6 months, which means that one vessel could successfully bring a maximum of 600 slaves within a given year. So at most, 18,000 slaves could have been brought from Africa per year. Over a decade, that's 180,000. Over a century, that's 1.8 million. And that's if no one died en route. Yet history tells us that most slaves died en route. So where did the millions of black people in America come from? They were already here, the lost tribes of Israel. This is common knowledge amongst all academic elite across the world. The copper to dark-skinned people have always been here long before the European.
Sucks niggas, but please go find your favorite Egyptologist, your favorite African scholar. Please go find them and have them regurgitate more lies been told to you by the white man that you claim that you hate so much. But now you scour his entire web of perverted information, all to try to lay claim to a land on the other side of the world that you don't have no part of, all while denying your ancestors and the spirit in your face. Listen, all of that beautiful African history that you were taught doesn't cease to exist, but you ain't part of it. And if these words hurt your heart, good. Nigga, we having a back to Africa sound. You can take all that bullshit back to Africa, because that's not where we from.
Damn. Damn. All right, let me play something else for y'all. Let me play something else for y'all. Let me play something else for y'all. I know that's right, Nikki C.
Peace and blessings to the collective out there.
Fair use. It's fair use. This is just another indigenous brother that's just gonna spit a little game on y'all. Hold on, let me clear this up so y'all can see it. Yeah, everybody they shit. Nobody to say I ain't trying to get them they shit. You know, and you can find this on Indigenous Niji channel. So let's go.
I just wanted to touch bases with most of the people that are out there, you know, that are speaking about the Indigenous American Indian information that they are just now, I guess, learning about. What I'm really trying to say is, you know what I mean, you know, the debating and, you know, doing this just to get ratings, and, you know, this is our culture that we're talking about. This has nothing to do with religion. You know what I mean?
Right.
It has nothing to do with religion.
Facts.
But what I wanted to touch bases with you guys on is that back in 2000, I registered as one of the original Indigenous American Anastasians back in 2007 within the Charter of the United Nations.
I know that's
under
right.
the High Commissioner for Human Rights. And I have the proof right here where this is my registration. And if you look at the fingerprint right here, this fingerprint was done by my blood. I had to take a 3-day class, you know, to get registered as Indigenous American Indian. And at the end, we had to get a blood test done. The oldest blood on the planet, which is ancient blood, by the way, the oldest blood on the planet is O positive blood, or O blood. Whether it's O negative, O positive, it is the oldest blood on the planet. That is indigenous blood. I don't care what continent that you're on. It's indigenous blood. We just so happen to be indigenous to America. So, with that being said,
I know that's right, Nikki C.
the blood don't lie. Okay? And if you're looking at this right now, don't I look like you? I look exactly like you. And I'm registered as the original Indigenous American Anasazi Indian. And the reason why we had to get registered as soon as possible, because back when Bush was in office, he went over to the UN and tried to claim sovereignty over the continent of America, stating that we were unable or unfit to take care of ourselves.
What?
And he wanted to claim sovereignty, and he brought over some $5 Indians that took one of our old tribal clan names and tried to claim sovereignty over this land.
No, they didn't.
And I don't even think y'all even know that. So for all you so-called African Americans, whatever you claim you want to call yourselves, then this information ain't for you. So you can bypass this video or just take your ass somewhere else. Okay?
Fact.
This is for all the collective of peoples that know exactly what I'm talking about. This picture is bigger than just debating about who's right and who's wrong, because they're about to snatch a lot of us off of this continent based on calling yourselves an immigrant. When you call yourselves African American, you're technically calling yourself an immigrant. That's just like being a Chinese American, a European American, an African American, a Mexican American, a Brazilian American, an Italian American. They are considered as immigrants.
Facts.
And if you don't believe me, check it out. I don't have to sit here. I'm not here to debate with you or go through a whole lot of changes. I'm telling you right here that I'm registered over in the UN within Geneva, Switzerland. So what does that tell you? And not only that, when they went over there, when Bush and his people went over there to claim sovereignty to this land, somebody got a whiff of it over in the UN and called one of the chiefs here, I'm not saying no names, but called one of the chiefs, and she is a female, by the way, called one of the chiefs and told them what Bush and the United States Corporation was planning to do. And that we, as the original indigenous American Indians, needed to get our quotas up over there and on file. I'm on file now. I'm on file.
That's facts.
Definitely.
Facts.
If I go to court, the judge got to go in his chambers.
That's facts.
The judge got to go in his chambers and make a phone call to the UN. And if my number that's on here matches the number that they have on file over in the UN, they got to let me go. And that's called your private side, and then you have what is called your public side. But I have to get into that a little bit later. But the UN told Bush and these $5 Indians that they needed to go back out the same way that they came, because they know who the original Indians of America are.
What?
They know who the true indigenous American Indians are.
What?
They told them that they had to leave. Go out the same way that you came in. Okay? Now, y'all can sit here and y'all can deny it. You can go into this thing. You can talk about me. I don't care, man. I'm already doing what I need to do. And all this conscious stuff that y'all talking about, let me tell you something. A lot of y'all niggas ain't conscious at all.
Facts. Big facts.
Just because you say you're conscious, that don't mean that you're conscious.
Big facts.
Okay? This whole conscious society and all of this other bull crap that y'all kicking. Hey, listen.
Facts.
It's a war out here, and it's serious. And y'all niggas is playing.
Facts, Nicky.
Yeah, I use the term nigga. Look it up. It means Indian.
Oh.
So if you calling me a nigga, okay, cool. Then I'll be your super nigga. But y'all playing and time has ran out. Now I'm gonna give you a little brief thing to think about for a minute. You sitting back calling yourselves, okay, you ever heard of the landlord and tenant code? Okay, if I am the landlord, then I have a right to be here.
What?
If I am a tenant,
right,
I'm only privileged to be here.
Dropping jewels.
The treaties and agreements that was written up by my ancient ancestors.
Dropping jewels.
If I am the landlord, then I have rights. If I'm a tenant, then I just have privileges.
Big facts.
And we all know that privileges can be taken away. not rights, not your human right to exist on your own God-given land.
What?
Forget all the fake shit that they taught us in school.
Right.
Y'all better wake up because time is running out. And yes, Dan Calloway, he's right. Lex Vortex, he's right. And everybody else that's teaching about who we originally are, they're right. You know how they right? Because I'm registered over in the UN.
Oh.
Okay? So stop all this bullshit and get y'all shits together.
What?
Because we at war right now on our own God-given land. And y'all don't even see it.
They don't even.
Peace and blessings to the collective. Peace.
Peace. Oh, he just dropped some.
When you choose fun, it's like a party you never want to stop starting.
He just dropped some big jewels on us, didn't he? He just dropped some big jewels. Some big boulders on a nigga's shoulder. He just dropped some motherfuckers. I know that's that's what's up, Nikki. That's what's up. Yeah, that nigga just dropped some big boulders on the nigga's shoulder. Damn. Checkmate. Big facts. Big facts, Miss Lady Scoop. That's why I said. I had to be careful of playing some of Dane shit because he might flag a nigga. I mean, he might not flag him, but you know, he got his shit copywritten and shit, so I'm trying not to get goddamn copywritten strike though. You know what I'm saying? Because I know it ain't the brother intentions on flagging me, especially for disseminating some of this information. I know that's real. I know that's real talk. That's what I said too. Oh. Uh-oh. I'm gonna drop this other one on you. The elder. One of the big elders. Let me go ahead and drop this on you. Fair use. I play another one. This is Wake Up Indigenous Niji page. This is fair use, but this just the elder. Y'all, I'm pretty sure when y'all hear his voice, y'all gonna know who I'm talking about. Dropping big jewels. There you go.
Peace, blessings, and love, family.
There you go.
This is Elder Rasan Shakur out of the great city of New Orleans, Louisiana, coming to you with another great and informative video. Peace, blessings, and love to all the melanated family, mankind. But family, this video gonna be about Dan Calloway. Dan Calloway is the truth. That's right. And they got a lot of people hating on him. A lot of so-called pro-blacks, pan-African, this, that, the other, which is very foolish to me. Hating on some brother because he bringing the truth with great information, great research. This man do research for 3 and 4 years on the subject. Not going to Google and typing in some bullshit. Dan Calloway is the truth. We are, and a lot of so-called African Americans was already here, been here.
Shalom.
In the so-called North America.
What up, Dre? Whipping in the kitchen.
That's right.
Shalom, brother.
Been here. We ain't just got here. I just discovered some information about my language, where it comes from. We'll do that in another video, but it come from here, right here in New Orleans, all the way back. I'll do that in another video. Not dissing none of my African brothers either, but a lot of us was already here, all over the planet. We was all over the planet, all the way back from Pangea up to now, which we gonna do another video on that, because Jabari, he been getting in my comment section trying to belittle what I'm talking about on certain videos. But that's for another video too. Get back to Dan Holloway. Now all these people that's out here trying to discredit this brother, you ought to be shaming yourself. That's right.
Be ashamed of yourself.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I saw a video about him and Young Pharaoh. I don't know if YouTube took it down, but somebody took it down. They ain't up there no more. He say, Dan Calloway say he know who did it. And I know too. That's right. I know those conscious clowns, envious and jealous and hatred.
You know it, Blackfoot Nation.
Boule, Bula, Greek philosophers.
Man.
That's where they get their information from.
What's up, Nolans?
That's right. Dan Calloway get his information from the source. That's right. He going around asking people from one generation to the next. And that's the way you get your information. Go and get records. They got public records everywhere. You can date where you come from. You just gotta go do your damn research. But these conscious clowns, they ain't doing no research. All they doing is going by what somebody put in a book and calling it facts. Facts and the truth is two different things. That's right. Facts and the truth is two different things. Because anybody can claim facts. Anybody can claim facts. But can you claim the truth? Can you put the truth into existence with logic? Not facts. That's right. Because anybody can create facts. That's right.
Got to be more careful.
In the Constitution, they say the melanated people are 3/5 of a man.
What?
That ain't no fucking facts, but it's their facts. They got people that believe that when it ain't no facts and it ain't the truth. That's right. So y'all stop hating on Dan Calloway, because Dan Calloway is the truth. Giving information about where our people come from on this planet. And all us didn't come from Africa. That's right. And that's a fact. True fact. Truthful fact.
They're like
with
that.
truthful information. That's right, family. But family, we're gonna cut this video short. Y'all leave y'all comments, let me know how y'all feel about Dan Calloway and all these haters that's coming at this brother because he's telling the truth with real research. Real research. Not looking in Google, typing in Google and coming up with some bullshit. Peace, bless all the Northern Native family. Don't listen to this video. Please subscribe, share, put up the likes. And
that's the elder right there, dropping them jewels on them. You're indoctrinated. You sure right. That's real talk. They don't want to listen, folks. They don't want to listen. Guess we'll get into some of this. Let me see. I'm gonna find her on here because I don't want to. Let me see. Chief Warhorse. Y'all heard about Chief Warhorse? Let me see. Oh yeah. You know she be bringing it too. Let me see. I call fair use. Fair use.
Right now, to the brother that called in earlier, there are land papers before slavery in my people's name here. How was it?
Hold on. Hold up. Let's go back. Fair use. Chief Warhorse. Let's get it. Say we gonna get it. Let's get it.
Right now, to the brother that called in earlier, there are land papers before slavery in my people's name here. How was it? Because when the Europeans came here, what Roger is talking about, we gave a lot of people some spots to settle. But they took those spots and wanted bigger spots. My people right now, the Shatta, they took on the end from all people, I'm talking the end of the big take, 25 million acres of land by removing my people from here to Oklahoma. That was the last of their land, 25 million acres of land. And it was people that looked like me. What Andrew Jackson did was he appointed some Europeans. I want you to know how I'm here, brother.
Let's get it.
My grandfathers were a generation of chiefs. I come from a line of chiefs. I'm from a royal family of chiefs. What the Europeans did was took my people.
Let's go.
Took the women and the children. And some European that Andrew Jackson was friends with appointed them as chiefs. Left the original chiefs back here. Took the white chief that he appointed, which into Oklahoma is, as you know today, as Indian Territory. Indian Territory was set up by mixed breeds. Okay? Yeah. The people that signed the treaty was either non-native or mixed breeds. The full breeds was left back here. And after a while, they infiltrated us into what we know as African American today. I'm not saying we're not family from back in time. I'm saying I was just here. Some come by slave ship. I came here years before, entrepreneurship. Either way it go, brother, we in here on the same ship. When Katrina hit, it didn't stop to see which ship brought you in. The first one or the second. And this is what I'm challenging my brothers and sisters to do. Let's see what ship we in now. And what can we do to stop up and plug up some of these holes before we sink even deeper.
Okay, guys, so what you were just listening to was Chief Warhorse of the Shatta and Native American Indian tribe in Louisiana. And I wanted to share this because I have been doing a little bit of research on Native Americans, as well as doing my ancestry tree on Ancestry.com. And for those of you who have followed me, you have heard me say before that my mother's father, my grandfather, was Native American. His mother was Native American. Unfortunately, I was not able to meet him before he passed away, or his mother, so I don't know much about what tribe they were from or anything like that, but I do know that they were from the Chicago, Illinois area. Well, at least he was. So anyway, I wanted to share this really quickly because there's some things that I wanted to point out. First of all, I wanted to point out that Native Americans here first, again, as I've always said, The first ones here were dark colored, copper colored like her. And then also I want to point out the correlation, the simulation between African Americans and Native Americans, Indigenous Americans, and how we tie back to Africa. And you heard her say that I'm not saying that we're not from the same family back in time. She just wants to point out that her lineage of people were in the Americas long before the transatlantic slave trade began to happen. And so that's important to me because, you know, if you look at it, like I said, my grandfather is Native American, or was Native American. And I'm pretty sure I might have some more on my other side of my family. I'm not even sure, but I do know for a fact that that's a part of it. But if you look at my ancestry DNA results, over 90% of it points back to Africa. Wow. So I wanted to make the correlation because I don't want people to get confused thinking that, let me say it like this, I don't perceive Native Americans as being non-Africans. And I'm using African loosely only because of the fact that I know that Africa was named after the explorer Leo Africanus. And so African was not necessarily a term that we gave ourselves. We called ourselves by nationality, whether it be Israelite, whether it be Ethiopian, whether it be Egyptian, whatever. So I'm using the term African loosely, but that's just a common phrase. But I believe that Native Americans, Indigenous Native Americans, the copper-colored ones, and African Americans, you know, Israelites alike, all go back to African, so-called, African lineage and ancestry.
Wait a minute.
Because whether or not the Native Americans were domestic before we came over on the ships, we all still go back to Adam and Eve, and those two people originated on the continent of Africa.
Whoa. I cannot co-sign that shit on my channel. Okay, I thought this was gonna be completely about Chief Warhorse. I'm sorry, y'all. I cannot co-sign that. Cause y'all know how I feel about the whole out of Africa theory, and you know what I mean. You know, the coming from monkeys thing. I don't believe we came from no damn monkeys. So I'm gonna have to stop that sister right there in her tracks. It's all good, all love, but I will not be co-signing none of that. Let me see if this. Let me see if this is Chief Warhorse on this video. Let's go. Fair use. Oh yeah, this is
Jumbo Habari, and welcome once again to another segment of our story.
All right, so
family, we appreciate you taking time out to be with us tonight.
I think this is all Chief Warhorse.
Our presentations, perspective which opportunity of our living conditions.
Fast forward this a little bit
to subhuman for self. Allow yourself 3 colors and the faithful people we are before us that we.
I gotta fast forward through a little bit of this. Fast forward through a little bit of this. I want to find Chief.
I call upon the other conscious black adults to mount up.
Cause he talking about some black and all that. You know, I don't fuck with that color neither.
Go forward from here to implement my mission.
Okay. To get to that point, we need to step back a point.
Let's go, Chief Warrior, Chief Warhorse.
And I'm the chief of the tribe. Is when you come up against people of color as well as European descent, and you say Indians, they're looking for the Bill Cody Long Range of Tonto style thing. And when you actually show them that the indigenous people were actually my color, as I have a habit telling people, a cocoa brown or a brown piece of leather well put together. I have a lot of ways of using slangs to tell people that we are still here because we were not weak. We were here before DeSoto and Christopher Columbus. You had to be strong to make it through those disasters. During Katrina, I told them Katrina was not a Category 5. My people had came through some Category 5s, and we survived them. So Katrina, to me, was going to be an easy thing to survive. Because when you're been hit by a category named DeSoto, Category 5, and it lingers around for 400 to 500 years, steady beating on the shore, and it just won't move. That's a disaster. Not a disaster that just come and go, but a disaster that still linger. Then when you have a person like George Washington, that was a Category 5. He hit, and we're still lingering because he's still on shore. Okay, so that's 2 categories sitting on shore at the same time. Christopher Columbus, Category 5, still sitting on shore, beating up on us. Okay, so then I have Andrew Jackson. Can there be a Category 10?
Yeah.
Okay, because if I could rank him, he's a 10. He's still beating on us.
Yes.
None of these European storms have moved. At least Katrina hit ashore, did the damage, and moved on. These categories continue to beat today. I wish it was drum beats, but it's not. It's not something you can dance to. It's something that you have to duck and dodge and constantly try to stay out of the way of the debris that it blew. Is that a good way to describe it?
Excellent.
Some of the debris that these categories have blew upon us, yes, you can help. But the first thing you have to go through being classified as crazy, because the United States have fixed it in the United States where whatever is not by their rule is crazy. So we have to take those abuse. That's part of some of the debris that's blown ashore and still hitting around. A lot of the universities don't know about us because when they did write the truth about us, it was covered in the basement. So it's still down in the basement, okay? A lot of the truth was in the St. Louis Cathedral. Where did they put the records? A lot of the truth was in the Cabildo. Where is it? A lot of the truth is inside the tombs of the graves that's at St. Louis Cathedral, because they have a lot of Indians buried in there too.
Okay.
The bricks that built St. Louis Cathedral, my people made those bricks.
Okay, I see you.
The bricks that built the tomb.
Hopefully you come back later on today, tomorrow.
Those categories was not only able to blow debris, but it was also able to cover things up. Like Katrina blew a lot of rubbish that covered up things. You know, that sludge that was left in your house and on your ground. Some of the sludge of this storm that I have to deal with is, am I this color as an Indian because of African descent? Or am I this color because this is the color of my ancestors?
Let's go.
Well, the truth to that lies with the anthropologists, if they tell the truth.
Let's go.
Because as they dig into the grounds, they have found people and they know they look like I look.
What?
But do they want to be politically correct as a white man to stay in standing with his white man? Or do he want to just let the truth lie in the basement? If you will look into the older court records of Louisiana, you'll find my people there.
What?
But it'd be looked upon by some people as Europeans. Because the white man duplicated every last name he gave to us after being forced to take a family name. He duplicated those same names. So now, then you could easily say, well, it's not the black Greens, it's the white Greens. It's not the black Dupree, it's the white Dupree. But I was always told the proof is in the pudding. So in my family, we didn't tell the white folks all our business. So when they stole our identity, mispronounced it as Choctaw, they would come back into Lacombe, see our ways of living, and then they would mimic this back in Oklahoma. We have to ask as historians, who signed the Dancing Rabbit Treaty and some of the other treaties? Research their name and see if the people that's in Oklahoma, I'm going to get real controversy. Let's see if there's really Native Americans that your tax money is paying for today, no matter what color you are.
Let's go.
I said, if the government want to really know who's been ripping them off,
let's go.
Check out and see who's inside that pudding.
What?
Because what's in the pudding sure ain't chocolate. It's all vanilla. Okay?
You know, Chief, and I'm going to say this for our viewers, that we have the number up because I'm always being told that there's not enough time for a call, so you can begin calling now if you so desire. But also, Chief, I want to say this to you, and I understand that I have come from a particular time zone that because I was raised by Garveyites and nationalists, I remember that when blacks used to claim some heritage of being Indians, the response used to be, yeah, anything but a nigger. But then as I grew, I learned that the Indians we were seeing on TV were not representative of the indigenous people of this country. What? And when we begin to look at the indigenous people of this country, they begin to look like black folk. And when you told us many times and several times in the history of our relationship that the whites came in, infiltrated, stole it, and moved on. And that was really enough for me to begin to dig and learn and find out exactly what is going on. And you mentioned, and so did you, Brother Roderick, about people returning to their own. And this is extremely important that our audience understands. Now, you've had communications from people who have seen this show from New Orleans, from other parts of the country. And you wanted to talk a little bit about that this evening, so we'll get into that.
To what you saying, what you were doing, Wes, what you were doing, Ms. Hill, is cutting into that pie or that pudding. You're showing the truth.
Right.
Like you said, you were in an engagement the other day, and you exposed some things that was accepted, and some may have been rejected by us, but it was the truth. And this is what you have been doing. People are looking at it now in a different way. And I'm glad you said about the time and era. Some people were ashamed to even say they was Native American again. Right. Especially living in an African American community. Because then they told me they was looked upon as being a traitor or trying to be something that they were not.
Let's go.
But then they knew their grandmother was an Indian. And some of these callers, when they called me, I explained to them that what we're looking at here is a denial that is coming from the inside now, not from the outside. And we need to challenge United States on that. And United States need to answer us on that. How can I be one drop Indian, okay, and be 99 drops European, and I can be classified as an Indian, versus I can be 99 drop Indian, 1 drop black. Now I cannot be an Indian. What? Are y'all with me? And this is what this blood quorum thing they have used against us. That to me should be illegal at this day and time in the United States. And the reason it's not illegal because it haven't been exposed enough. And a lot of people do not know through the media and universities the discrimination and racism and prejudice that Indians face today. When I say Indians, I'm not talking about Oklahoma. I'm not talking about a lot of these tribes, and I'm going to be honest with you, here in Louisiana. Those are tribes put together underneath Andrew Jackson and underneath the Indian rights law. I'm talking about indigenous Indians who picked up the name Indian as a tag by Europeans.
Just like nigger.
Thank you.
That's right.
And by giving us that tag, you stole our real identity. Because a swap took place.
And that's my point, Chief. Excuse me. That is my point. I don't know if I made that clear when I made that little statement in the beginning. When I hear my people of color say, I have Indian in me, that's why my reaction is like it is. Really? Well, why don't you find out about that?
Because the United States have fixed it.
You know,
our people are on the internet.
Think that.
He calls me all the time. Like he said, he's out there. He calls me all the time. Chief, I found these people. Would you talk to them? You know, I'm like, Roderick, some of them lost their marbles. You know, and I'm just being honest, and I'm a truthful person. I said they lost their marbles. Because what they don't understand is the United States not fixing to give us United States back. Okay? What I want to know is, where do we get the government-to-government relationship we was promised under these lying treaties? You understand what I'm saying? Yes. And where do we get as a nation to be able to teach our people within their own culture? Where do we get to enrich ourselves, not only financially, but spiritually and physically, without the United States hindering that? Roderick had someone that called me a couple of days ago, and they said, what are your greatest interests? I said, well, one, I would like to be able to farm the land again. I would like to drink clean, clear water again that's healthy. I said, I would like to be able to ride through my town, or my people ride through their town, and not tell me that they got to look over their shoulder because they saw a white police car. And I ain't talking about the car being white, but the white police in it.
Yeah.
Let's go, Chief.
I said, and another thing I'm fighting for is that we as a nation have a place of governing that is represented and recognized by the United States government. They say, well, that's federal recognition. I say, no, that's not. That is a God-given right.
What you saying, Chief?
Okay, a God-given right.
That's right.
Because even the people that's in churches of whatever race, they keep singing about them 12 tribes of Israel. Or they keep singing about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Well, everybody didn't come from Jacob.
Right. Let's go.
And if they did, that means everybody ought to be black. Because Jacob was married within his tribe. People that looked like him. He married his uncle's children. Okay? So, when we sit here, we won't even tell the truth about what Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob look like. So, then I have to go to mine, like I told this color that come from you. How far back you think they've been stealing our color and race?
Let's go, Chief.
And do you think they're going to give real people back their race? No. That's something we have to stand up.
Facts.
We have been allowing, like I was telling you before the show started, we have allowed people to make us accept things.
Facts.
When the Europeans have come here, whatever they don't like, they write a law. And they stick together and they push it through.
That's right.
It's time we, don't get mad at me because I had a gentleman call me one time. He says, well, how can you be a chief? One of Roger callers. How can you be a chief and be a woman? I said, how did you get here without a woman? Took a woman to bring you in this world. And you show me another way a woman didn't lead a man in here when she led you into life.
That's right.
Okay? So next thing, I challenge my man of color to give us the respect that God gave us right to. He made us the one to bring about you. That doesn't make us disrespect you. That doesn't make us behind you. God put us in front. He put us here to bring you forth. Now, as a woman, do I respect my men? Yes, they're the strength of our country. But the United States found a way to break them down too.
That's right.
I hear people talking about deadbeat dad. Well, let me name y'all some deadbeat dads. That's historians we need to talk about. Who's paying for Andrew Jackson deadbeat grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren?
An entire family.
Let's go.
Who are paying for these illegitimate children that white men's made here?
Let's go.
When an Indian had more than one wife, and even the Bible, Jacob had more than one wife, and he took care of all.
Let's go.
He took care of his children. He was not looking for somebody else to come feed his children.
That's right. But you see, you're militant and you're an activist if you talk about these things.
But this is tribal.
That's the way they look at it.
Let's be tribal truthful. So
let me interrupt for just a second, if you don't mind, because I want to let our audience get in on this if we can. I ask you to turn your televisions all the way down, talk to us directly through the telephone, listen through the phone. We appreciate you watching. We want to know what your question or comment happens to be. Caller?
Yes, Brother West?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Brother Warren.
Hey,
it's good to hear from you.
That I don't want to be rude or disrespectful, but I kind of come from the position you grew up in because the Gauguin era. Identify
the police
as African American, identify with my African ancestry.
What the fuck?
When I hear my relatives
what the fuck?
Genealogy,
what the fuck?
Talk about a Native American past.
Oh, look at this
I'm not
nigga.
interested.
Look.
Because I feel that a lot of these things are still
sound like the police on the phone.
Our African heritage.
Oh, hell no. This fuck
Even
boy.
if it were the case of Native American
this
ancestry,
old dick in the booty ass
I am black because I am African, not because I'm Native American.
Look at this
and the
nigga.
institutions, the African American family.
This. Do you see this police ass shit?
Social
Y'all hear this police ass nigga?
Saved my life and many other black folk life.
Oh, this
and
nigga
so people have the right to
this is what you call indoctrinated
but I feel
to
that
the
this discussion
500th degree.
Our people
this motherfucker is goddamn indoctrinated to indoctrination.
In the world, and that we are oppressed because we are African.
That's insane.
Everybody wants to respond to you, Warren. But let me be the first one. You know, I come from the same venue that you are in today. And believe me, my sentiments were the same. So let me try to quickly give you a response. We celebrate, and we can openly celebrate our Africanness with our brothers who have come from Africa but stayed here on this continent and made this continent home for thousands of years. We celebrate the fact that we were able to do this as a people. And we celebrate it because it shows us how great that we really are. I look at Chief here. I myself personally am an African. She's an African too, but she wants to talk about her achievements on this continent, and I'm willing to give her that. So I see it as a celebration of us showing our greatness and how we have influenced and conquered the entire world without destroying the world.
Hijack this shit.
Linda?
You know I can get long-winded, but I'm gonna try to make. I'm gonna try to make this really, really quick.
These niggas have tried to hijack the chief.
I want to address the Bible aspect of it.
Oh,
okay. Man. I've been going to church.
She's lost in the book.
All of my life.
We know.
Wake up on Sunday morning and not go to church.
We know.
I come from.
We know you get a pass to all your money. We know.
Me that way.
Yeah, we know you indoctrinated.
And how many people go to church and don't really realize what they're listening to? They don't read the Bible. They don't understand the dynamics of the military. It scares me to know that we have a general population out here who vote. And if you walk into a mall with a microphone and ask the average person, and I'm not calling people ignorant, I'm just saying we need to know how we're functioning in this society. Ask a person, where is the West Bank? Where is the Gaza Strip? Where is Damascus, the place where Paul was on his way to?
Yeah.
Who are the people that lived on the West Bank? Who are the people that lived in the Gaza Strip? Where is the Nile River? Where is Iraq in relationship to Iran? And these people cannot tell you. They don't even know the natural dynamics of Iraq and Iran. They don't know that in Golda Meir's regime, this is when, the Iran started to look like a box, and Iraq looked like a box with a little thing hanging off of it, and it's the same way in the United States. You think that Louisiana just naturally looks like a boot?
Yes.
You follow me?
Yeah. Chief, I want you to respond to it.
Come on, Chief.
Brother, I would like to say this to you. I'm not trying to change anyone's belief. A lot of the calls I get from around the country, I address some of the calls like you were just saying. I'm not trying to change your belief or your race, but I am saying for the last several hundred years, you've been on my land here. And what I am saying, at least a little appreciative that when the slaves were running from their slave masters, we opened our doors and villages for you to be here today to tell me you from Africa.
Big facts.
So, thank somebody from giving up everything they had because we believed in God, we feared God, and we opened up our doors and villages. We fed your people. We took care of your people. Same thing I would tell the Europeans when they ask me, what are you worried about? We're the people you base your Thanksgiving off of. We gave you everything and you gave us death. You gave us bloody trails of tears. African Americans have even given us a bloody trail of tears. You know what I get from my African brothers and sisters? That we opened our doors and gave to them life. They say, why are you worried about that? Now you ought to embrace being of Africa. Well, I've been here for thousands of years.
Facts.
Now, brother, for me to go to Africa and tell Africa I'm a Native American, I have met with a lot of friends in Africa. They accept me as chief of this nation. India accept me as chief of my nation. Other countries do. Brothers and sisters of Africa here, be more graceful and help us the way we help you all.
Warren?
Well, I disagree with her historic interpretation of Native Americans being saviors of those 12 million souls from Africa. brought here who saved this land. This Louisiana colony was saved by Africans from growing rice. And the Native Americans participated with
nigga volume.
Brought here who saved
I can't even believe this nigga.
This Louisiana colony was saved by the Africans from growing rice.
What?
And the Native Americans participated with the Europeans in capturing Africans as slaves and also using them as slave trade. And I did disagree with her historical interpretation on the record. I identified that there's 12 million Africans who bought
the fuck out of here, nigga. Well, go your ass back to Africa.
I'm gonna let Roger. He wants to handle up on you in a minute, but I'm gonna invite you. We gotta sit down here and just have an open debate one day. I'd like to, to book that up. So you think about it. I'll call you and see if we cannot schedule that.
All right, brother. I listen.
Okay, Brother Roger.
Well, first thing I want to say that we all are one people. Now, we might be subdivided into different names under Australians, Libyans, Puerto Ricans, Haitians, whatever. We all still one people. If we say that we are Shatta and we are Native Americans and we've been here on this land, that's who we are. Now, I can give you a brief history on how the West Africans came over on the boat to South America and set up civilization. It's been documented that the stoneheads are still down in La Venta, down in South America.
He giving them credit.
Those,
I ain't giving them that.
Called the Olmecs.
I'm not giving them that.
Olmecs mixed with some of the
that.
Chinese invaders that were coming in through the Bering
I'm not
Strait.
giving them the Chinese
and
that neither.
We mixed together and we made what is called the so-called Native American now, which is the red man. That's going around perpetrating on our property. Now, what you had done is we gave them parts of the land to civilize. I mean, not civilized, but inhabit. And we mixed in with those people. But you had the Europeans that came in and took it away from all of us through trickery, through different laws that that we could not live up to on their monetary system, through the forms of unjust taxes.
So what you're doing is you're actually giving us a history of immigration and how immigration has always been detrimental to the black man, be he called indigenous to this continent or any continent. But before we go, we want to hit
one thing quick before we leave. Let's look at the census that's coming out. First, my people were under Indian.
Let's go.
Then someone come along and say, well, we're going to take him, we're going to move him again. We're going to make him mulatto. Some of my people got trapped back there under Indian while some moved into the mulatto era. When the white man seen that wasn't going to eliminate enough of us, then he moved us from mulatto. Then he moved us to colored. I can show you how I got where I'm at. So then my people, some of them got left into the colored zone. Then they moved my people again into Negro.
What?
Black.
What?
And African American.
What?
All I'm asking, my blood kin, I'm not asking you to change who you are. I'm looking for a Pacific people that's lost here in New Orleans that have the same blood lineage that the two of us have, that got lost through the census. Like this time, last census, we were Native American. This census, we are going to be American Indian. You get what I'm saying? In each era, we lose people.
Why don't you just say Indian? Why do you want to be American Indian?
They done changed us again. Now they have us American.
We want to be indigenous, period. We've got another call. We've got another call I want to get to. I want to ask the caller to turn your TV all the way down. Talk with us directly through the telephone. We appreciate you watching our story. What is your question or comment?
Praise the Lord. All glory to God. Praise Yahweh Elohim. In the name of Yahshua, a.k.a. Jesus Christ. But look, this is basically what I want to say. I'm not going to keep you long.
Okay.
I'm the disabled vet that called a couple of times. Now, I believe, and this is not really through history reading or anything like that, is in my spirit. I feel that we are the original people of the universe.
Yes, sir. Thank you, my brother.
God used us. If you just look at our hair, you dig?
I hear that, and I understand where you're coming from, and we all tend to agree with you, my brother. We are the original people, and we appreciate you watching. We want to move on. We've got another call. We want to try to get them in. Caller, talk to us directly over the phone. We appreciate you watching. What is your question or comment?
My brother, hello, Brother West.
Hey, how you doing?
This is Louis Harding.
Yes, sir.
And I'm saying that's why it's been said that there never was such word as segregation, and there never will be no integration. But we are headed for what is known as amalgamation, where everything goes back to its original color, its original beings. And this is where we at. We have been misled, but what the sister and brother is saying, Africans came here long years ago.
Yes.
Long years ago. They came here and was hooked up with Indian tribes long years ago. And this is what I see and understand. See, my mother, she was a African. I mean, she was sort of Indian. As I'm looking.
Hold up. Let me pause that for a second. Why is it that if you have brown skin, people want to automatically hook you to Africa because people have been indoctrinated with the thoughts that only way that you brown is from Africa is a bunch of bullshit, man. That's just a bunch of indoctrinated bullshit. They every single time. That shit is like, damn. That shit is annoying. That shit annoys me. I don't know about nobody else. That shit be getting on my nerves though. Straight up. But let's go ahead and listen to a little more of this. Let's jump back into this, all right?
Looking at this sister right here on my mother's deathbed. She looked just like her. Just like her. Had the plaques and everything.
Exactly.
You can see it coming back out of her. And this is what I know for a fact. All right, my brother. Thank you very much.
Hey, appreciate you calling, brother. Thank you.
You know, Brother West, we allowed the white man to come in and just assume our identities. They came into Egypt and they assumed the identities of the Egyptians. They came down into Puerto Rico and assumed the Puerto Ricans' identity. Now they come in and they assume the Native Americans' identity. They're setting up tribes, they're getting government money. They're the thieves. They're the biggest thieves that's going around.
Can I say something?
Yes, right here.
Right now, to the brother that called in earlier, there are land papers before slavery in my people's name here. How was it? Because when the Europeans came here, what Roger was talking about, we gave a lot of people some spots to settle, but they took those spots and wanted bigger spots. My people right now, the Shatta, they took on the end from our people, I'm talking about the end of the big take, 25 million acres of land by removing my people from here to Oklahoma. That was the last of their land. 25 million acres of land. And it was people that looked like me. What Andrew Jackson did was he appointed some Europeans. I want you to know how I'm here, brother. My grandfathers were a generation of chiefs. I come from a line of chiefs. I'm from a royal family of chiefs. What the Europeans did was took my people, took the women and the children, and some European that Andrew Jackson was friends with, appointed them as chiefs. Left the original chiefs back here. Took the white chief that he appointed, which into Oklahoma is, as you know today, as Indian Territory. Indian Territory was set up by mixed breeds.
I believe it.
Okay?
Yeah.
The people that signed the treaty was either non-native or mixed breeds. The full breeds was left back here. And after a while, they filtrated us into what we know as African American today. I'm not saying we're not family from back in time. I'm saying I was just here. Some come by slave ship. I came here years before by entrepreneurship. Either way it go, brother, we in here on the same ship. When Katrina hit, it didn't stop to see which ship brought you in. The first one or the second one. And this is what I'm challenging my brothers and sisters to do. Let's see what ship we in now. And what can we do to stop up and plug up some of these holes before we sink even deeper?
And Chief, this is why genealogy is not a hobby.
No, it's not.
It's a necessity for us. Our DNA pool, I don't have a word that I've...
Exactly, Nikki, see. That is exactly right. They gave the $5 Indians the money that... damn, that's kind of bright. Yeah. They done gave them niggas our money. I'm gonna stop that video there. You know, I just was trying to give y'all a little insight on on this what's the name. And I wanted y'all to see firsthand how indoctrinated people really are. Because, like I say, if you got brown skin, copper color skin like me, it's people that automatically just jump back. Oh, no, everybody is from Africa. This is a false ass statement. I figured you would appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to bring some new shit for the 19. I'm gonna try to bring, you know, some more, you know, different aspects, you know, versus me just talking. You know what I'm saying? We'll review it, you know, after we go over some shit. But yeah, the indoctrination is so thick with people. It's mind blowing. None. That's what I'm saying. For people to keep continuously saying, no, well, it was some Africans that came over here. How the fuck do you know? At all. At all. They don't embrace us at all. That's the shit that I be saying. I'm like, nigga, like, you get more of a fight that from people that look like you when you tell them, hey, I am a Tonkinist to this land. I am the original or aboriginal of America. They say no. You from Africa. We gonna do the examination. I'm make this my business tomorrow. We gonna do an examination, and we gonna see where the out of Africa theory comes from. Who originated it? Who started it? Who cultivated it? Who brung it to fruition? And we just gonna examine some parts of it. That's what we gonna do. We gonna do that tomorrow morning. You know what I'm saying? We gonna keep it real funky around this bit. Like I say, whenever they start really going into the indoctrination stuff, I'ma stop it because I don't want nobody else to get more indoctrinated with the bullshit. Oh yeah. Now, don't worry, cause we gonna get into that too, Nikki. We gonna get into the consequences of people that look like me and you saying that they was Indians, because there were laws passed as well. You know, enjailment and death. You know, you people and you could be killed for saying you was an Indian looking like us. Yeah, we gonna we gonna bust this right on open, right on open. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna be thorough with it too. We gonna be thorough as possible. Okay, this because it bothers me to hear the term African American, and then that's not even an ancient term for the land. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a recent term. So yeah, that's not gonna be able to stand. I just can't get jiggy with that shit. So you know we gonna do this thing. Don't even trip. We gonna do it. I'm gonna make sure it's done right. I'm gonna make sure everybody is strapped. They got their seats in a upright position. You know what I'm saying? Because we gonna do this because I'm. Like I say, it really bothers me, especially to get opposition from people that look like us. You know what I'm saying? I I know that's real. I know that's real talk because that shit is all as a setup. But we definitely look. I'm making my business. We gonna go ahead and we gonna dig deep into this situation. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to bring more informative videos. I try to give everybody credit where the credit is due. You know what I'm saying? I scream fair use because it's for educational purposes, and you know what I'm saying. This is for everybody that come through and rock with me to learn a little something. You know what I'm saying? I like to put a little wrinkle on your brain to give you a thought to just check out and see what's really the fuck going on. You know what I'm saying? I want you to know what's going on. I don't want nobody to be in the dark, or none of that shit. But we gonna definitely bust up the Africa theory and all that stuff. We gonna do that tomorrow on tomorrow's episode. Yeah, so y'all stay tuned. I'm gonna try to come to y'all as early as I can. I work, but in the meantime, in between time, we gonna do it how it's supposed to be done. It's just time for the games and all that shit to come to an end. For real talk, it is. Because the game has been played for way too long. Motherfuckers is actually out here just lost in the sauce. So, I'm gonna try to bring as much clarity to the situation as I can to help people understand and digest this in a fashion, you know what I'm saying, that's educational. You know what I'm saying? Well, I know I done held y'all for a long time, and I done made it to this crib, so I'm gonna sign out. You know what I'm saying? And I will be back. I will keep the videos more consistent because it's just been it's just been eating at me, and I ain't been doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm gonna get on it. I promise. But y'all know my saying, until I come back, y'all keep it motherfucking flat. 1 motherfucking 1,000. And I'm out.